No, no,
I'll tell you, no one around here would know that noise anyway.
I know that was tricky
no
enough.
one changes it; they all just leave it sitting empty.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have to load that machine in the morning.
That's the only reason
I can
you
print
came
2
up-
pages.
The only reason you come up with that
Are they lazy
idea.
in the afternoon? Are they? But anyway, I'm delighted on a serious note for
Nice.
Annette.
It's a lovely amount of
McCrossan.
money heading into Christmas, into the weekend.
Yeah, and Easter holidays will be coming up, and it'd be nice for everybody involved. And Mum's away up to school to let them all know, so that'll be a bit of excitement at school, won't it? Have you any ideas for Secret Santa for tomorrow? No.
No. We'll come up with something.
Tell me now. Go on.
Well, that wouldn't ruin it, you see, Lee, because then
They would know the answer for tomorrow, but that's okay.
Okay, right.
Good luck.
He's lost the plot now because he's lost his money. All right, it's 9 o'clock, time for a news update. Good morning, Emma Ryan.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Works are finally complete on a new main water supply in South Inishowen after outages plagued local residents for years. The final section of the new water main supplying Maharabeg and Inch Island has recently been completed by Irish Water. Issues with the water supply had been ongoing for years, and Councillor Jack Murray says residents will now finally have a dependable water supply that other areas take for granted.
This is a great day. Finally, the last section of the new main, it's supplying Maharabeg and Inch has been completed, and I look forward to a consistent water supply in that area. Your listeners on Highland Radio will be well aware of how regularly these bursts have occurred and how the people of that area have been plagued by an inconsistent water supply. But thankfully, we've got to this point.
There's calls for immediate action to extend car parking spaces at Letterkenny University Hospital. The Célta Healthcare Group has acknowledged that there's an ongoing issue with the lack of car park spaces for patients, visitors and staff at the hospital, and has committed to raise it with hospital manager Sean Murphy this week. However, Councillor Kieran Brogan believes more of an effort needs to be made. He says there's an adequate amount of open space available to expand the car park.
This has been an ongoing issue for a long time around Letterkenny Hospital, and somebody actually brought it to my attention recently, the amount of, open space and grass that's there around the car park in the short term, that some of that could be reduced. And I think this is something that should be looked at as a matter of urgency. It's been a huge issue for a long time now, and I think we need to try and alleviate that, because the pressure off the hospital parking has been, put on to a lot of the residents around the different estates around the area as well and beyond. So.
A Finn Valley-based councillor says it's not acceptable that the National Broadband Plan will not be fully rolled out in Donegal until the end of 2025. Briefing members at a meeting this week, National Broadband Ireland executives said they were slightly ahead of schedule, with work practically complete around Letterkenny and Creasla, the next area to be done. However, Councillor Patrick McGowan says that's not fast enough, and it's time for Donegal's Oireachtas members to be more vocal in the Dáil.
As a member of VicBan, we had a presentation from a consultant. We asked him to have an overview of the national broadband here in Ireland to roll out, and immediately came back and said Donegal was very far back. It seemed to be that counties were not only ahead of us, but they're actually even edging further and further ahead, like Meath and Kildare. But I think we need Oireachtas members to start speaking up more.
To weather now, mostly dry today apart from the odd light shower. There'll be long spells of autumn sunshine and just partial build-up of cloud during the afternoon. Temperatures will range from around 14 to 16 degrees. That's all for now. We'll be back with a news update again at 10 o'clock. But until then, good morning.
Think you know Disney Plus? Think again.
This is not a drill. This is happening.
We've got gripping action like original series The Old Man.
This is not someone to underestimate.
Epic drama like the all-new season of Grey's Anatomy.
This is good.
And iconic exclusives like the brand new season of The Kardashians.
Did you know about this?
Disney Plus is all this and more.
No.
Yes.
Thought you knew Disney Plus? Think again. All this plus more streaming this autumn. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Corner Car? Well, that's the first prize in the St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunensgadraw.com or any club member.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, the 9 to noon show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you all. It is 4 minutes past 9. It's another Thursday. This one, it's the 29th of September 2022. It's almost the end of the month, heading into October. How are you keeping? I do hope you're well this bright and fresh autumnal morning. The lines are open for you right now to get involved in the conversations we've got lined up for you. Quite interesting and informative, I hope you'll agree. Also, if you want to raise your own issues, your own topics, tell us a story. Positive as well, by the way, we love that stuff. 086 60 25,000. Maybe you've encountered a great act of kindness over the last wee while, or you've got some positive news to pass on to us. Get in touch. The phone number for you, I think, did I mention that? It's 07491 25,000. Your emails come on to us via comments@highlandradio.com, or if you choose to watch the show, feel free to comment there. Good morning to Charlie McGinley. He's first in with his comment this morning. Good morning all, he says. Well, good morning to you, Charlie. Right, it is a Thursday morning, so there's tons of papers out, as always, locals and nationals. We'll start with the Tyrconnell Tribune, a proposal to include Donegal, Sligo and Leitrim. One regional model before Christmas is viewed as a downgrade for the county's 3 divisions, with the possible loss of senior officers. This is under the headline, "Garda changes are bad for Donegal." The issue was aired in Lifford last week during a meeting of the County Joint Policing Committee. Former Sergeant James Churty, who's a member of the committee, told his colleagues that the proposals are a gravely detrimental step and communities across Donegal would suffer the severe negative consequences of such a decision. The Donegal Democrat black hole, and it's not a space story. The Northwest has been described as a black hole and its healthcare services likened to the North Pole and melting fast. A meeting of the Regional Health Forum West this week heard several concerns regarding the provision of some healthcare services in the area. The meeting heard that the day hospital at Carndonagh Community Hospital is no longer suitable for the provision of a day hospital service. There are currently no respite places available in the entire Inishowen Peninsula, while concerns have been raised about the level of diabetes treatments at Letterkenny University Hospital and Sligo University Hospitals. More from Chris McNulty inside that paper on that story as well. The Derry People Donegal News. Donegal is among several counties that have been demoted by the EU. The EU Commission decision to downgrade the Northwest to a lagging region has been described as disappointing by the head of Letterkenny University. The reclassification is due to the West and Northwest becoming significantly less well off relative to the European average over recent years. The region, which includes Donegal, Leitrim, Galway, Roscommon, Sligo, Monaghan and Mayo, was demoted from more developed to a region in transition in 2019. It's now been relegated further. The only region in the state to be classified as lagging. In a stark assessment, the European Commission said the West and Northwest was facing a number of challenges, including lower productivity and educational attainment, as well as a weaker skills base and business environment. And these are, quite significant. This is not like that tidy tan stuff. Not the tidy tan stuff, the eyeball stuff. This is reasonably significant because, major companies would look at this in terms of locating business there because they would perhaps trust this information as it relates to the quality of education in the area, in terms of investment and other areas. So it is not insignificant that. So hopefully it's the government that needs to take note of that. The Derry News, unarmed Derryman Patrick Duffy was shot up to 14 times in the back and side by an undercover British Army unit on November 24th, 1978. Mr. Duffy was shot at 2 Maureen Avenue in the city by what's believed to have been SAS members dressed in civilian clothes who secreted themselves in the attic of the house before the killing. That's the background to the headline, Fresh Inquest Hearing for Patrick Duffy. A fresh inquest into the killing of Mr. Duffy in 78 is one of 10 inquests earmarked for a hearing in 2023. The fresh inquest was directed by the Attorney General, Mr. John Larkin QC, on March 22nd, 2019. On to the Nationals now. Let's start with the Irish Independent. And Leo Varadkar has hinted to his party there may be changes to the concrete levy after a backlash from coalition TDs. The Taoiseach told the Fine Gael Parliamentary Party yesterday that legislation would be needed for the 10% levy and therefore further consideration will be given to it. Well, we know how much consideration they gave to a multi-million euro scheme. How much consideration might they give to this levy? Well, the Fine Gael leader said the government needed to find funds to repair defective apartments along with the Micah redress scheme, but said the levy had to be legislated for, and it's important we get it right. He was speaking to concerns raised by backbench TDs Joe Carey, Brendan Griffin, Alan Farrell, Alan Dillon and Michael Creed at the meeting. It comes as several coalition TDs had called for the new levy on concrete blocks to fund the Micah redress scheme to be revisited or postponed. And, you know, the problem with this, and I said it as soon as we heard this happened, it seems to me a very strange thing to do, to introduce a levy during a housing crisis. We have a crisis here. But there's so many people need homes. You're making it more expensive to build homes. You're messing with costings for projects that may be already priced and ready to start. And also, for what? It looks good. It looks like you're doing something. It looks like, you know, you're making the industry pay for their failings. But in reality, you're not really. You're just increasing the cost of building a house. You're increasing the cost of repairing a defective concrete home. Doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, Finance Minister Paschal Donohoe announced that 10% levy on concrete blocks, pouring concrete and other concrete products in the budget. The levy is due to take effect from next April, estimated to raise $80 million a year to help fund a redress scheme for people whose homes were built with defective blocks. And the levy is likely to be in place for several years, given estimates that the scheme could cost the state as much as $4 billion by the time remedial works are completed. And, you know, you just get a sense that it's just going to become a permanent tax like the levies on your insurance and electricity elsewhere. Organisations representing builders estimated the levy could add $1,500 to $3,000 to the cost of a new home. But, you know, if you've got a lot of concrete to pour for a driveway or retaining walls, I presume that goes up. 5 TDs from Fianna Fáil, 2 from Fine Gael and 1 independent yesterday questioned the levy. Willie O'Dea said the issue should be looked at again given the housing crisis. I could see where the minister is coming from, he said. There is a temptation to claw back some of the enormous amounts being spent on Micah. There's not enormous amounts being spent on Micah. It hasn't happened yet. He said, but on the other hand, it conflicts with government policy making housing affordable. It will be passed on to consumers. Of course it will. Right, okay, so that's the take on that nationally at this point. They're not worried about homeowners as such, really, are they? It seems they're worried about builders and developers, and I suppose you have to worry about them because, you know, they are effectively those who are going to provide this housing. But it'd be nice to hear them concerned maybe for people living in defective concrete blocked homes who would face bigger rebuild costs rather than the poor old developers and contractors. Right, the Irish Times, that story as well is covered on the front of that paper. There's growing criticism among government backbenchers of the levy announced in the budget on the sale of concrete products in order to help pay for the cost of fixing homes affected by Micah, though we know it's just not Micah now, it's much broader than that. There's big bother over in Britain, as we've been mentioning over the last few days. The Bank of Ireland has had to intervene. Such was the fallout from this, and it's only had some sort of a limited effect. Well, the Bank of England was forced into an emergency move yesterday to commit to buying 65 billion of the UK government's debt. This is their long-term debt. It's in an effort to stop the fallout from British Prime Minister Liz Truss's mini-budget turning into a full-blown economic crisis. Market turmoil since the British Chancellor of the Exchequer, Kwasi Kwarteng, announced the debt-funded giveaway budget last Friday had seen the UK's borrowing costs soar in a sell-off of the pound. It also prompted the International Monetary Fund and leading debt rating agencies Moody in recent days to criticise the plan. Shares in the most exposed Irish listed companies in the UK economy, including Bank of Ireland and food manufacturer Greencore, have also fallen sharply since Mr. Kwarteng announced the blueprint to cost 45 billion of taxes over 5 years and spend an estimated 60 billion over the next 6 months alone subsidising energy bills for households and businesses. Ms. Trust has promised to freeze bills for 2 years and it kind of feeds into the Irish argument, though Sinn Féin say theirs is costed. They don't know how much it's going to cost because they don't know what's going to happen to energy markets. But the cost of their borrowing did come down a little, but the pound fell again this morning. It's really cheap if you want to buy something in Britain. Now's the time, but God help anyone in Britain heading to on holidays to America or even to the EU, because their beloved pound, won't go very far for them. On to the Irish Daily Mail now, and 10 men of courage, as they're described, have begun training to be priests in Ireland and have been praised by a bishop for going against the cultural norm. This is one more than the 9 who began clerical studies last year, bringing the total number of training training for Irish diocese to 56. Are you one of those out there? I wonder, maybe you are training to become a priest. Do you want to tell us your story, why you're doing it, what you hope to achieve, what brought you there? If you do, get in touch with us. We'd be very happy to speak to you. Well, the students are undertaking their introductory programme in the Redemption Matter Seminary, Dundalk, the Royal English College in Valladolid in Spain, and the Royal Scots College in Salamanca, Spain. Chair of the Bishops' Council for Vocation, Bishop Alphonsus Cullinan, said, "The men have gone forward for training for priesthood in Maynooth. They're to be applauded. They are certainly going against the cultural norm. God is still caring, and there are men of courage who are answering him." Okay, but the number's small, isn't it? When you consider how many are retiring and the need that's out there. Okay, the Farmers Journal, they, as you can imagine, have gone all out on the budget. Some of the headlines: 30,000 acres places up for grabs, 28 million for new suckler scheme, 46 million VAT rebate cut, 40% rebate on electricity costs increase, 10% concrete levy on to affect farm buildings, €90,000 TAMS ceiling for solar panels. So they've got 18 odd pages of coverage of that story. Okay, now, I don't want to bring a tear to your eye, so be strong. This is the Irish Daily Star here. The Dáil is a cold house for politicians, despite all the hot air around the budget, as the Oireachtas authorities are refusing to put up the heat. Management in Leinster House say the heating will stay off, despite complaints the 275-year-old building is cold. Management say they are showing leadership in the Parliament buildings as part of the national effort to reduce consumption. The heat is normally turned on from October 1st, but can be switched off before that if necessary. However, this year, the Houses of the Oireachtas say they will lead by example and keep the heat off until the special date. In a letter to all TD senators and staff, management explains their decision. "We've had several inquiries about heating at the Leinster House complex. The heating is traditionally turned on the 1st of October each year. In view of the government climate action targets, the energy crisis and the national effort to reduce energy consumption and also to offset increases in energy costs, the heat will not be turned on until next Monday at the earliest." Okay. Well, you know what? At the same time, I'm being a bit facetious here, but if they were roasting in 24, 25 degrees, we'd be critical of them as well. But they've had complaints it's too cold, but they're staying strong. The Irish Daily Mirror now: American citizens are being warned to get out of Russia as Western leaders face a massive escalation by Vladimir Putin. They fear the president is preparing for a strike inside Ukraine or an attack against Western interests, such as maritime communication cables. Now, this is quite important because, let's just say, and I'm not saying this is the one that they might target, but they know where our communication cable is because it's right about where off the southwest coast that they were doing their military exercises. I mean, listen. Whoever was responsible for the attack on the Nordic pipeline, okay, when were there explosives attached to that? It seems it has been, it was damaged by explosions. I'm not saying that the Russians are responsible, but that has been sabotaged. Who is to say, if Russia were inclined and it were they who were behind it, who is to say that whilst they were engaging in their military exercises off the west coast, that maybe they had a little look at that communications pipeline. It's really, really important, it'd have a devastating impact on all of us if it were to be damaged. And that is the kind of activity that perhaps maybe could be justified from their perspective. Well, the US Embassy in Moscow has told all citizens to leave Russia immediately by any means necessary and warned Putin will not respect dual nationality. There are fears dual nationals could be drafted into the war in Ukraine. Officials said Russia may refuse to acknowledge US nationals' dual citizenship, deny access to consular assistance, prevent their departure, and conscript dual nationals for military service. Putin intends to land grab 4 contested regions following his shampoos in eastern Ukraine, but is running out of military options. And, we talked about this and analysed this on this show. He's in a corner here, right? And there's not an awful lot he can do. He's not advancing. He's being pushed back by the NATO-backed Ukrainian forces. Once he declares these areas that were the subject of these, that were subject of these referendi, he will pass in his parliament a decree which will declare them as Russian soil. And then we have this scenario where Western weapons would be targeting Russian soil. And that triggers articles within the Russian constitution, which would allow, say, for instance, battlefield nukes to be used anywhere in Ukraine. And who's to say what the loss of life may be? He could target a city. I mean, the Americans did it in Hiroshima. So, there's these bombs have been dropped in the past. I'm not comparing the scale of them or the size of them, by the way, but what's his alternative? Where's the off-ramp, to use that old phrase that's knocking around? And also, too, there's a picture of some of the soldiers that have been conscripted, and they're not young; they're older guys. So he's getting desperate. Lastly, we'll be talking about this a little later on in the programme. Most children would not tell their parents if they were being bullied. It's been revealed. Does this surprise you? Do you sort of have a space whereby you could have this conversation with your young one, that they might feel they could come to say, look at, they might come down from the bedroom and say, someone said this to me about me online, or I posted this TikTok video and people are saying this, that and the other about me, because everyone who posts a TikTok video is going to have to expect some negativity. Like, do you feel that you young people can have that conversation with you? 60% of our children think they can't. Research from children's charity Bernardo show 53% of children have been cyberbullied at some point. So that's half of them. And 60% of half of them feel that they can't talk to us about it. So we're going to be talking about that in a little bit more detail. If you have any questions on that issue, by the way, or maybe even you want some advice as to how to have the conversation, there's no shame in that game, by the way. We're here to help each other. But we don't want to think, do we, that half of our children have been bullied online. And 6 out of 10 of those that have been bullied feel that they can't speak to us about it. None of us would like to feel that, would we? Right, so that's part of our content for later. We're going to be talking about that. Right, let's take a break. Back with our first guests in a moment.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Corner Car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunansgadraw.com or any club member.
There's only one thing as good as a TUI holiday, and that's looking forward to one. So get next summer sorted and secure your TUI holiday today. Choose beach, lakes and cruise breaks across a wide range of destinations, including Mexico direct from Dublin, plus all your favourites like holiday villages, Splash World resorts and our own TUI Blue hotels. Secure now with thousands of free child places and a low booking deposit of €25 per person. That's next summer's holiday sorted. TUI, live happy. T's and C's apply.
I can't stop thinking about them. I keep rereading their old texts.
Brian, this has gotta stop. It's been months, and they send those alerts to everyone. You know that, right? Look, your bank is leaving, but you gotta get back out there. Listen to me. Any bank would be lucky to have you, especially Bank of Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, they've even put together a simple step-by-step guide to moving banks and have a dedicated team on hand to help. Even an ending can be a new beginning. To start finding your new banking partner, download our step-by-step guide to moving banks. Search Bank of Ireland Big Move. Begin.
Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
It's back. The Furniture Show NI is now on at CFC Interiors Campsie Derry. Save with massive discounts from leading brands in furniture and interiors. From sofas, beds, flooring and design. CFC have it all reduced in their biggest sale. Don't miss the Furniture Show NI, now on at CFC Interiors Campsie Derry.
If you're pregnant, it's time to boost your protection from COVID-19. Protection from previous vaccines or from COVID-19 infection decreases over time. Your next vaccine will help protect you and your baby from serious illness in the months ahead. For information or to book an appointment at a HSC vaccination centre, visit hsc.ie. Call our team in HSC Live on 1800 700 700 or contact a participating GP or pharmacy. From the HSE, for us all.
Experience the best of Oma's rich musical heritage through a weekend of music and events from Thursday 29th of September until Sunday the 2nd of October. Enjoy Oma Music Thrill, exhibition voices and stories from the show band era and Oma's trad folk. On Saturday 1st of October, presenting Oma show bands is Highland Radio's Frank Galligan. You'll hear authentic show band sounds from Dominic Kerwin and his band, Ray Moore, Frankie McBride, the Call Brothers, Tony Hutchinson and more. All complemented by a vintage tea dance on Sunday. For more tickets and details, log on to strualartcentre.co.uk.
Okay, now you're welcome back to the programme. We welcome on to it now Keelan Hilly, who's a current Student Union VP for Welfare. And we're also joined by Anna Rose Travers, who's at the same university, Maynooth University. She's an alumni and former VP for Student Life. Good morning, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Delighted to be here.
Good stuff. Keelan, can you outline what the issue is here for students?
I can indeed. So speaking on behalf of Maynooth Students' Union, students en masse are angered at the termination of an incoming student centre, which has been promised since 2015. And students have been paying through a levy since 2015, and the price of that is only incremented from 112 to 150 cents. And students are communicating their mass disappointment at the university for terminating that because they had been promised it since 2015.
Yeah, and how much is the levy and how often is it paid? Is it annually, monthly?
It is indeed paid annually before the year starts, alongside obviously student contribution charge.
Yeah. So students over the last 7 years, well, it wouldn't be necessarily over the last 7 years, but would have contributed hundreds of euro towards this project, and would have been doing so perhaps willingly, even though they perhaps think they shouldn't have to, for what was to come. So, what about this promised student centre? What's happened to it?
It's seemingly perhaps due to mismanagement. It hasn't been developed. And the students and alumni are just disappointed as a result, angered even en masse, and they're communicating that quite vocally, but the student centre just hasn't been delivered. And alumni and students are just deeply disappointed.
Yeah.
We as an executive have dissented against the termination of the student centre from all possible angles. But it's only the university can communicate why it's not there.
Yeah, well, we'll
answer for them.
Yeah, no, we'll put our inquiries into why. Anna Rose Travers, what is the sort of real world impact this has on students then? The lack of this facility.
Well, the students that voted for this back in 2015, they kind of made, I suppose, a selfless decision there, knowing that they would never see the fruition of, the student levy. And so they decided, okay, let's do this for the benefit of students to come. So it's just very disappointing that 7 years down the line, that project still hasn't been delivered. None of the levy project that fund was earmarked for have been delivered yet. Different academic buildings can be prioritised and get up. And it's just very disappointing that the university, the student numbers are increasing rapidly year on year, and it's just not fit for purpose anymore. There's nowhere for students to sit. We're seeing all over Twitter, I'm sure it's the same on campus, Keelan, that there's students, there's nowhere to park, there's nowhere to sit and eat your lunch. And I just think it's a very basic thing to be able to know once you get to university, you're going to have somewhere to at least sit between your lectures.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things going on here. Firstly, as you say, former students thought they were leaving something for those to follow them. There's a bit of democracy in this as well, of course, because this is what students vote for, and you voted for on the fair presumption that it would be delivered. But that referendum has been chucked out because this is a unilateral decision that people were informed of by email.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the only people that can introduce a student levy are the students, and they did that by referendum. And for it to be chucked out by the university governing authority, who, there's 4 student representatives on that, one of which seat hasn't been filled yet. So it's just, that's not a democratic decision. And for them to further then say that, we'll try our best in like increasing student space, getting up pods and stuff. That's not what the levy was for. That's what your student contribution charge should be for. That is not what this levy was earmarked for, and they can't just change. That's not democratic. That's
so where is the
partnership.
money, Anna Rose? Where's the money?
That's what we're all wondering, because like millions of euros have been spent. Sorry, that's an assumption, but a lot of money has been spent to date on the designing of this building, on the groundworks, on the architecture. So who's footing the bill for that now? Are we all just expected to sit down, roll over, and say, okay, that was our money that we dished out for years, and that's just going nowhere? Or the university make a massive surplus every year. Are they going to put that money back in the students' pot? Or they need to communicate this. They can't communicate it in the middle of an email, just boasting about new student services that they're going to introduce, while just saying, oh, by the way, we've cancelled your project.
And Keelan, do you feel this project has become more than just the project itself, that it's sort of become the issue that is highlighting how students generally maybe feel they're being treated, or the level of respect there is for them at Maynooth University?
Indeed, actually, Greg, it's become a symbol of neglect, I think, for students, because a lack of accommodation, a lack of access to space, it's all rooted, I think, in neoliberal policies that the university tends to prioritize, and by proxy, just the complete neglect of students, because a denial of anywhere to exist on campus is inevitably going to be a denial of education for students.
Yeah, and it's not unique, obviously, to this to this one institution, because nationally, a lot of students feel generally they're on their own. I mean, obviously there are some advances that have been made in the budget and all that type of stuff, but just in terms of the respect for them, in terms of accommodation, transport, we've been speaking about students from Inishowen this week. No consideration to provide, regular affordable transport for them to go to Letterkenny University, to go to the ATU. It's something they have to fight and campaign for, and some drop. You see, the thing that worries me too about a lot of these issues, it's those then that miss out on their education, but don't necessarily have a voice, and their families and what that may feel. I mean, is there just a lack of respect for students then?
Seemingly no communication from universities, just shows they tend to be quite risk averse, which comes at the denial of students' rights inevitably. I can actually testify that about 85% of our campus is now commuters, and there's very little services available for the exorbitant prices that commuters would potentially pay for gas. And also very few transport links for students, especially in somewhat of a semi-urbanized rural area like Maynooth, caught in the crossfire of, to be frank, neglect towards students.
Yeah, Anna Rose Travers, are things getting worse rather than better then for students?
Yeah, I think there seems to be this kind of old stereotype that students just go to college to party, that they're dished out money left, right and centre. That is not the case. That might be a very, very few, but you can't speak on behalf of the whole student population. Students have been protesting for the last 10 years of the abolishment of the student contribution fee. We welcomed the reduction in the budget, but that was the perfect opportunity to start reducing it from year on year, and then they backtracked and it's a once-off payment. There's nothing on student accommodation there. You have, for Maynooth's example, there's what, 1,300 around there beds for students on campus, but there's 15,000 students. If I'm coming from Donegal, I'm going to UCC now. There was absolutely no hope of me getting accommodation there, and there's absolutely no way you can commute that distance. It's just, students seem to be left behind year on year, and it's only when we start coming out and voting in our hundreds of thousands that the government seem to listen to us. But we're such a large, cohort of young people these days.
Yeah, of course, and it is important that young people get organised and get voting when they can in the elections. And I know broaden it out a little bit, Keelan, but you can see why the establishment parties, say for instance, don't want to extend voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds, because you can imagine between they and the 18, 19, 20-year-olds plus that are at university, if they started to organise and started to vote, it would really shake up the establishment.
They deserve a dissenting voice, and frankly, they're also left in the crossfire too. the amount of emails as a welfare officer that I will get from students that don't have access to accommodation and feel incredibly hopeless from Cork.
What
from
are they
Donegal.
doing, Keelan? Because obviously we had recent stories of a student in their car. We've had that locally here as well. What are students doing when they don't have accommodation so far from home?
Oftentimes they're commuting up to 4 hours. We actually did a survey and I found that 14% of the commuters in that survey were traveling up to 3 hours as they testified.
Is that like an hour and a half each way or 3 hours out, 3 hours back?
That's an hour and a half each way.
Right, and that's if you're lucky enough to have links to get you into university on time as well, of course.
That's
not
exactly
to mention
that.
the cost.
That's exactly that, indeed.
Yes,
I'm
Anna
in that
Rose.
boat. Yeah, I'm in that boat right now. Sure, as I said, I've graduated from Maynooth, but I'm in UCC now, and I'm living in Tralee, so I'm commuting 3 hours one way. Do you know? And
How
I'm
often are
lucky
you
that's
doing that?
It's only 2 days a week because it's a master's course, but
Right.
you know, I'm lucky that I don't mind that. At least there's a train, you know what I mean? But for the likes of people that are trying to attend, you know, ATU Donegal, you know, depends where you're from. There's little hope of you getting there unless you have, you know, somebody I suppose to carpool with or something.
Yeah, but it's
like that.
counterintuitive because then what happens is you can't attract the students that you might want to attract because they simply can't avail of your university because they can't get to and from it. Anna Rose, do you mind me asking what you're studying?
I'm studying HR management.
Oh, very good. And you, Keelan, what are you studying at the moment?
Formerly, I was studying, I was doing an MA in anthropology, actually, after I got my BA. But I may also testify, I was in a similar boat to Anna last year for a period of a month before I could find accommodation in Leixlip. I would travel once a week from Donegal down to Kildare, and then I would couch surf for 4 days. And then I would return back home. But then, so there was a month period of doing that, and I imagine, which was exhausting and impossible. And I fear for the students that are doing anything similar.
Yeah, I mean, the impact it'll
at,
have on you too. I mean, because, you know, we can rely on the goodwill of others, but there's no security in it. It's not a very nice feeling sometimes either, having to do that. All right. Listen, thanks for the insight. I really appreciate it, Keelan. It's been lovely speaking to you. Have a great day.
You too.
All right,
so much.
take care. And you, Anna Rose Travers, have a lovely day too. And thanks for helping us understand this a bit better.
Thank you. You too.
All right,
Bye.
take care of yourself. Okay, thank you. That's the plight of... it's not the plight as such. It's the insight from two Donegal students as to what's going on at MU, but also an insight into what's it's like in terms of commuting and how students feel that they are being treated.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Corner Car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at stunansgadraw.com or any club member.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
Mixed budget for farming. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out how the budget will affect your farm income. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
New €90 per cow suckler scheme, new supports for slurry tanks and rollover of fodder and tillage schemes. But shock new concrete levy, 20,000 farmers locked out of new environmental scheme, and tax rebate reduction to cost farmers almost €50 million.
Don't miss our expert budget analysis, only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
The Foy & Company Autumn Sale ends this Saturday. Get amazing discounts to get your home ready for the festive season with up to 50% off selected lines across all departments. Chat with Foy's interior design and colour experts to find out how you can make over your home on a budget with the Foy & Company Autumn Sale. Order now for guaranteed Christmas delivery. Don't miss the Foy & Company Autumn Sale in store in Letterkenny and Ballybuffet and online at foys.ie.
If you're thinking of changing your washing machine, consider the brilliant 8kg 1400 spin washer from Blomberg. Raymond Sweeney here at Ben Sweeney Euronics. If you often need laundry washed in a hurry, this brilliant washing machine will get your daily clothes clean and fresh in under 30 minutes, saving money on your energy bills and giving you back valuable time. It also comes with a 7-year parts and labour warranty for peace of mind. Call in to us and see for yourself at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre Dunlow.
To get that job done, call Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny. Generators, portaloos and lighting towers. Also diggers, dumpers, rollers and much more. With short-term, long-term and weekend special rates available. Call Gortley Sales and Hire on 91 26 276.
Paul Claffey Tours are delighted to announce that we're heading back to sunny Spain for a second week in June 2023 and once again staying at the luxury Barossa Hotel Complex Cadiz, Spain from June 15th to 22nd. Joining Paul for this unforgettable week will be some of Ireland's best love entertainers, Michael English and his band, and many friends including Brendan Shine, Dominic Kerwin, John McNichol, Jerry Guthrie, Jim Devine, John Hogan, the Stephen Smith Band, The Conquerors, Sean Wilson, John Malloy and more. The price is only €1,079 half board plus tax and insurance. Call 01685 2244 or see paulclaffeytours.com and don't miss the holiday of a lifetime.
For a real taste of Donegal, try some new season potatoes from John Edwards and Sons Ramelton. Donegal's finest potatoes, grown and packed in Ramelton by John Edwards and Sons. To celebrate National Potato Day, watch out for packs at special prices in shops throughout Donegal this week.
A caller says Russia didn't blow up the Nordic gas pipeline. All they had to do if they wanted to stop the gas flowing was to switch off the top or the tap. If you want to know who done it, just look to see who gains from it. It wouldn't be America liquefied gas by any chance. Well, I never claimed they did. In fact, I don't know. And sometimes when I don't know, I tend to keep my mouth shut, to be honest with you. Greg mentioned the communications cable off the south coast. I'd be more concerned about the cable going through the foil out into the Atlantic. That's used by Britain and NATO to monitor submarine movements. Another, the principal in my kid's school is retiring. All kids have been asked to contribute to a retiring present for him. Is this acceptable in today's climate? Well, let's throw it out there to our listeners. What do you think? The principal in my children's school's retiring, and the children have been asked to contribute to a retirement present. Is there a figure being given, I wonder? But anyway, it's a voluntary contribution. Another one. What do you think? Is that acceptable to put? Does it put parents, or some parents, perhaps even most parents, in an awkward position? What do you think? 08660 25,000. 08660 25,000. Right, okay. Justin Malloy is Director of the Western Midlands and Northern Regions of the Construction Industry Federation. He joins us now. Good morning to you, Justin. Thanks for taking the call. Oh, sorry, Justin, I have the wrong fader up. I beg your pardon. Justin, good morning to you.
How are you, Greg?
I'm good. Right, okay. So from the industry's perspective, what is your view of this 10% levy on blocks, poured concrete and other concrete products?
Well, I suppose our concern is going to be inflation, right? Greg, we've had increases in the construction, massive increases in material construction over the last 12 months. They've gone up, on average about 17% or over 17%, with steel gone up about 66% and timber gone up 46%. And concrete products have already got up 10% this month already, with another 10% expected next January, to be followed now by the levy in April with another 10%. So this is all just going to add to costs, and it's probably the biggest challenge for the industry at the moment is construction materials inflation.
I don't suppose we can sort of rely on the industry to do the right thing collectively and absorb this levy then?
Well, industry, the reality is they wouldn't be able to absorb it. A lot of contractors quite simply wouldn't be able to absorb. I suppose, like any project, if you're tendering for any particular project, you have to calculate the material costs, the labour costs, and the prelims, and your profit and overheads, and that's how you work it out. And they won't really be able to absorb it. They just have to unfortunately pass it on to the client. And it's not just, it impacts everybody. It's not just house building, but it's schools, hospitals, it's farm buildings, it's people building one-off houses in the countryside. So they're all going to be impacted by it. Mm-hmm. And this is at a time when we're trying to do our best to control materials inflation.
What do you think this is then? I mean, at the end of the day, there's not an awful lot of money currently being spent on the defective concrete scheme. There isn't much being spent at the moment because it's stalled. And also, obviously, some of this is being earmarked for the pyrite issue as well. So, do you think this is maybe a PR stunt by the government, or would you be prepared to go that far? Because really, in effect, it's not big money for 2023, but it looks like, the government is being seen to hit the industry in the pocket. But of course, we know it's the public that's been hit in the pocket. So what's your assessment of this move then by the Finance Minister?
I don't honestly know, to be perfectly honest with you, Greg, because there wasn't really any consultation with the industry about it. And if there was, we could have, highlighted these issues. Like if it came into, say, precast concrete products or whatever, if it was for precast concrete products, 80% of the precast in this country gets exported. So that would just make them less competitive, against their overseas counterparts. So that's going to be counterproductive. So I'm not too sure what the logic was behind it.
And also, there's a bit of confusing logic for me, because according to the government, or at least reps of the government, the likes of foundations, which I presume is poured concrete, aren't a problem now. Homeowners will tell you a very different story. It's actually blocks. So would you see it more palatable then if this was a levy only on blocks, which fundamentally, according to the government, are the problem here?
Well, I suppose it would just take out an element of it. It would be less inflation, right? But it would still add to inflation, and it's still, unfortunately, passed down to the client. But I think there's no question. Obviously, the people who have mic issues and pyrite issues have to be addressed, and their homes have to be rectified. But even for those people, when they are getting their homes rectified, if there's a levy on these products, they'll indirectly be paying that as well. Mm-hmm. So it's just an inflationary. It just adds to materials inflation, construction inflation at a time when the industry, least needs it. Where outside of the larger urban centres, there's not a huge amount of house building going on because it just doesn't. The figures don't add up, and it's only in certain, peripheral areas that it's beginning to, where you can actually build a house, sell it, somebody can afford to buy it, and it's financially viable to do so. But you could be pushing again. Every bit of inflation, be it materials or labour inflation, there's pressure on labour as well. So,
of course, and ironically too, as well, probably the only houses that we're going to see properly repaired, i.e., demolished and rebuilt, are going to be council houses, because there's not much else happening in the private sector, and it is then the state that is levying itself. But you would, I presume, agree, Justin, that elements of the industry were responsible for this. And should be, to some extent, held accountable to it. If not the levy, what do you think a fair contribution to this mess that some within the industry, as I say, created? What do you think a fair contribution from the industry would be then?
Well, see, it's a difficult one for the government. No shadow of a doubt it is. How do you address it? Because really, I suppose the horse bolted. Unfortunately, a lot of these companies, people who were responsible for this, are gone. But levying, into the future, people into the future to pay for the sins of the past isn't really necessarily, I'd say the right way about it. I think there needs to, the government needs to sit down with industry, the construction industry, material suppliers, and the wider industry, insurance, the banks, everybody who's involved, directly or indirectly involved, and say, well, how can we come up with something that is a bit more equitable? Then this is a bit, it's just a bit knee-jerk reaction, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, there's ongoing investigation as to what is the cause, what elements of concrete and all that technical stuff. You'd have thought at least that would be concluded maybe before coming up with some sort of a scheme. But it just seems bizarre to me, Justin, in a housing crisis when we need more houses built, to be introducing a levy at this time. Maybe things might look different in 2 or 3 years when money's actually being spent to be clawed back. It just seems a really peculiar thing to do at this time, because it's a slap in the face to, as you would know, I hope, defective concrete block homeowners, because they also are going to be, this levy is going to impact on the money available to them to rebuild their homes if that ever begins to happen. It just is a peculiar time for this to happen. Are you encouraged at all that Leo Varadkar has suggested that this will require legislative approval? They'll have to be pre-ledged, presumably. They didn't do it for the MICA scheme, but they might do it for this, and that maybe it might be refined or even scrapped in the long run.
Well, I'd hope that they'd sit down with, as I said, industry and, as I say, the wider industry and anybody directly or indirectly involved, and sit down and come down and say, well, how can we, if we're not happy with this, how can we come up with something that's a little bit more equitable? And I think that would make more sense, because, I mean, this levy, as I say, it's not, people just, when they think about housing, but it's not just housing. It's going, as I say, it's schools, it's all public buildings, private buildings, offices, farmers doing slatted sheds and silage pits and whatnot. You have people doing their one-off housing, trying to build their house out the country there, and here's another addition. And I said, and particularly in the quarry and concrete sector, where there has been an awful lot of increase. So there's 10% in September, another one coming in January. Now you're going to have another one in April. This is all just adding to inflation.
Where it's feasible, do you imagine maybe people might start sourcing their concrete products in Northern Ireland, for example?
Well, I suppose it's like everything else. As long as they're wherever they source the products, be it the Republic of Northern Ireland or anywhere else, that it's most important that the product is certified, and it's fit for purpose. That's, I think, the most important thing, and that there be major oversight of that. That quarries and aggregating ready-mix people and suppliers are in compliance with whatever the appropriate regulations are, and that product is being manufactured to the appropriate standards, and that aggregates are being inspected after blast, so that to determine the element of mica or pyrite or whatever.
Is that happening now in the Republic? Do you believe that there is proper oversight now on the production of these products?
Well, to be perfectly honest, Greg, I'm not an expert on that side of it. I understand
your members are using this stuff to build our houses. Justin,
well,
I would hope you'd have some indication.
Yeah, well, they would look for certification from the suppliers,
which they do themselves.
Well, I think that they have to get third-party certification.
Okay.
That like the likes of NSCI or BSI or QSRMC, one of these bodies, ensure that they have procedures in place. But obviously we would recommend to our members, or have been recommended to members, that whoever you buy your product off, no matter what the material is, that it is in compliance with whatever the appropriate building regulation is at the time, and that there's some independent third-party certification. Pardon me, to suggest that. And that you periodically test materials, but we do have a kind of and we need
just out of interest, then, Justin,
body service to test materials.
Out of interest, Justin, if you don't think it's a fair question, that's fine. It's not controversial. But if you were building a house in South Leitrim or wherever it is, would you be happy if your house was built with product sourced from Donegal, or would you, if you had a choice, source them from Galway, for example?
I suppose the answer to that would be I would source it from the person I had most confidence that was, had a quality control system in place and it was adhering to the regulations.
But off the top of your head, would you favour Galway or Donegal, for example, if you were building your own house?
Well, I suppose, you would say, just at the face of it, I'm not aware of any mica in Galway, and I am aware of mica in Donegal.
So you'd have a distrust of the
everything else being equal, you would take it from Galway, obviously.
Okay, and very finally, some of these projects are priced well out in advance, I'd imagine. This doesn't kick in until April. Are people going to be getting calls from their contractor or whomever it might be, do you think, saying, look, we're going to have to review or even maybe significant projects like schools and what have you that you mentioned? Do you think people are going to be getting phone calls saying, look, we're going to have to add such and such on to the price of this project now, even though we've given you quote because of this new levy? That's a reality, isn't it?
Well, I'd say every surveyor out there, who's tendered for projects, you might have tendered for a project, last week, and it mightn't happen for another 6 months, and it might go on for 18 months. So that means, in reality, I'm going to be absorbing this 10% on these materials for 18 months. So you'll really have to go back to your client and say, look, if you've entered a fixed price contract, unfortunately, your hands are tied.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, you might have to go back to the client and say, look, we'll have to renegotiate because this is just another, this is something that came out of the blue. This is something we couldn't have envisaged or put a risk assessment on. And now this is just coming out of the blue. So, and then we don't have the detail of it either, Greg. We don't exactly know how long is this levy. It's coming in April.
Yeah.
How long is it going to be there for? And it says, with flowing concrete, which I assume they mean ready-mix concrete blocks, and it said other concrete products. But what do they mean by that? Do they mean precast concrete products, or what else?
And also, the scheme could cost a minimum of $4 billion at 80 million per year. Even if that went up to 100 grand per year. Yeah, exactly. All right, listen, Justin, thanks for your time. Whilst they discuss this in the Dáil, maybe it'll all become clear. They'll have to satisfy the backbenchers. They're not happy about it. All right, Justin Malloy, Director of the Western Midlands and Northern Regions of the Construction Industry Federation, thanks for your time this morning.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Corner Car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunansgadraw.com or any club member.
Hi, Marty Friel here. Hope you can join me this and every Friday night from 8 to 10 p.m. with Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. Book a kids' party at Laser Quest Arena 7. Combine it with bowling and great food for a day to remember. For packages and bookings, visit arena7.ie.
Brian McCormick, Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Tracksuit bottoms for men from all your favourite brands. Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas Tiro 21 training pants, tight on the leg with zip pockets. Adidas Entrada pants, classic style from only €30. Nike Tiempo training pants with classic zip pockets, only €40. Look the part, play the part. In-store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
Are you completing your UCAS application? CAFRE offers degree courses in food, agriculture, equine and horticulture. Come along to CAFRE's October Open Days. Talk to students, meet staff and explore the practical facilities at Northern Ireland's specialist agri-food and land-based college. Book now to attend an open day at Greenmount Campus, Enniskillen Campus and Loughry Campus. Register online at cafre.ac.uk or visit Discover CAFRE on Facebook.
Our McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ourmccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. Our McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
On this week's Business Matters, I'll be joined by wellbeing coach and founder of the One Good Hour in Letterkenny, Mary Bradley. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at HighlandRadio.com.
Business Matters in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. Looking for a career in financial services? Consider the Level 9 MA in Governance and IT in Financial Services. Take the next step in your career and contact the Exec Ed Coordinator on 9186206 or email execed, execed at atu.ie today.
I find it kind of interesting, at least all things being equal, the Director of the Western Midlands and Northern Region of the Construction Industry Federation of Ireland, if he were building his own house and had the choice, he would source his concrete products from outside Donegal. I don't know what that tells us. The government has made it even more expensive for mica houses to be fixed. Typical, yeah, indeed. CSI price per square metre to rebuild should automatically increase by 10 now, 10%, but will it? Answers on a postcard. And read the budget. I'm just an ordinary citizen, but cannot take it why the 10% levy on concrete was introduced, so every supplier is now paying for someone else's wrongdoing. The mind boggles. All right, okay, listen, the last item ran on a little bit, so I have one more break to take before 10. Stay with us. Coming up after the news and obituary notices, we've got more interesting stuff for you to get involved with.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Corner Car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunansgadraw.com or any club member.
At Bryson Recycling, we love to recycle. We accept a wide range of items at our 6 recycling centres across County Donegal. Located in Dunlow, Letterkenny, Stranraer, Milford, Lahi and Carndonagh. Only €4 per car load of recycling, with an extensive free area. And with contactless card payments now available at all our sites, it's even easier to recycle the right way. Check out brysonrecycling.org for more details.
We wish you a...
It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euros shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on customs charges this Christmas with Space Hub Derry. Call 04871 878077 for more details.
Timber
From the smallest shrub to the largest tree in an awkward place, Donnelly Tree Services provide a complete range of tree surgery services. Whether you need to remove a dangerous tree or some nuisance branches, Donnelly Tree Services have the experience and expertise to carry out tree surgery to the highest of professional standards. Call 083 005 9939. Donnelly Tree Services, Donegal. No job is too small, no tree is too tall.
If you're in business and you need to accept card payments, An Post offer the best value in card payment solutions, saving Irish businesses on average 25% on current costs. It's fast and easy to set up or switch. Your money hits your account the next day. Call An Post on 1800 300 150 or email cardpayments@anpost.ie and start accepting card payments today.
October the 5th is Tyre Safety Day. The Irish Tyre Industry Association, RSA and An Garda Síochána will be roadside, advising motorists to stay safe with regular tyre checks. Dangerous tyres have cost too many lives on Irish roads, and if found driving with defective tyres, you could be liable for a fine and up to 4 penalty points. Always get expert and accurate tyre safety advice from any member of ITIA who will check your tyres for free. Don't chance it, check it. Visit itia.ie to find your nearest registered member.
Celebrating the 25th anniversary of the first Joe Dolan Bundoran Music Festival, a spectacular Christmas party night at the Allingham Arms Hotel on Friday, December the 16th, with the sensational Joe Dolan Show, Remembering Joe, featuring 5 vocalists with the Dolan family and the original Joe Dolan Band, cabaret, dinner and accommodation if required. Now booking at the Allingham Arms or online at showtours.ie. Revive the 90s in Bundoran on December the 16th at the Allingham.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the Highland Radio News Desk. The Central Bank has fined Bank of Ireland €100.5 million for breaches affecting tracker mortgage customers. The fine's been issued in respect of 15,900 tracker mortgage accounts impacted between August 2004 and June 2022. Bank of Ireland has admitted in full to 81 separate regulatory breaches. It's the largest fine imposed to date by the Central Bank. A laptop owned by a man working for a TD has been seized by Gardaí. The man accused of viewing child abuse material hasn't been arrested to date, but the allegation is being investigated. The Irish Independent reports 2 Leinster House committees were asked to waive parliamentary privilege in order for Gardaí to access the Oireachtas-issued laptop. The person in question works for a TD who is not accused of any wrongdoing. There were significant failings in how Gardaí handled emergency calls, according to a report to be published later. It was commissioned by the Policing Authority after thousands of calls weren't dealt with properly in 2019 and 2020. Garda Commissioner Drew Harris will discuss the report with the Policing Authority this afternoon. John Mooney from the Sunday Times says it's identified evidence of both excellent and poor service.
Garda headquarters will be very keen to put this matter behind them. The Garda Commissioner has already apologised for what had happened and what had taken place. However, the Policing Authority, I understand, really want to get to the bottom of this issue into what were the actual effects on the public as a result of this, and have people being held to account for that.
Works are finally complete on a new main water supply in South Inishowen after outages plagued local residents for years. The final section of the new water main supplying Maharabeg and Inch Island have been completed by Irish Water. Issues with the water supply had been ongoing for years. A petition had been set up to urge Irish Water to carry out the essential works. Councillor Jack Murray says residents will now finally have the sort of dependable water supply that other areas take for granted.
This is a great day. Finally, the last section of the new main, it's supplying Maharabeg and Inch, has been completed, and I look forward to a consistent water supply in that area. Your listeners on Highland Radio will be well aware of how regularly these bursts have occurred and how the people of that area have been plagued by an inconsistent water supply. But thankfully, we've got to this point.
A major tourism campaign has been launched in Great Britain to promote Donegal and Derry. The 9-week campaign with the tagline Two Unique Places, One Amazing Holiday will reach at least 6.8 million people with digital ads in London, Birmingham, Liverpool, Manchester, Glasgow and Edinburgh. Shane Clark is Tourism Ireland's Director of Corporate Services and Policy. He says the campaign is intended to showcase what's on offer right across the Northwest.
One of the things we identified was the opportunity to create a hub experiences, and really that was about trying to give compelling reason to people to venture beyond Dublin or Belfast. But in order to do that, you needed to create these kind of hub experiences within a kind of a 2-hour time frame of around Derry. You know, you have so much to see and engage in, and that's why the primary aim of this campaign is about promoting Donegal and Derry as the kind of one location.
Donegal students who had been contributing towards the development of a student centre at Maynooth University have been left outraged after the project was suddenly withdrawn. A €150 student levy was brought in 7 years ago to build a student centre to be home to the Students' Union and provide a hub for student activities. However, NUIM Maynooth has confirmed in an email to students that the project is not proceeding, citing technical issues and escalating costs. Students are now left wondering what will happen the money. Anna Rose Travers is a former Student Union Vice President for Student Life at Maynooth, and earlier she spoke to Greg on the 9 till noon show.
The students had voted for this back in 2015. They kind of made, I suppose, a selfless decision there, knowing that they would never see the fruition of, the student levy. And so they decided, okay, let's do this for the benefit of students to come. The only people that can introduce a student levy are the students, and they did that by referendum. And for it to be chucked out by the university governing authority, that's not a democratic decision.
Weather forecast mostly dry today apart from the odd light shower. Long spells of autumn sunshine and just a partial build up in cloud in the afternoon. After a rather chilly start, it'll become around about 14 to 16 degrees this afternoon. Moderate northwest breezes. Dry at first tonight, but outbreaks of rain will spread from the west around midnight. Heavy falls expected with the potential for some localised flooding. The rain accompanied by strengthening southerly winds. Lowest temperatures early of 6 to 10 degrees Celsius. It will become somewhat milder later on. Wet and windy tomorrow morning with outbreaks of rain, some squally downpours and a possibility of localised flooding. The rain clearing to sunny spells and showers in the afternoon. Top temperatures 13 to 16 degrees Celsius in strong and gusty southerly winds, veering westerly by tomorrow afternoon. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Good morning.
Obituary notices for Thursday morning, September 29th. The death has occurred of Morris Manus Sweeney of Sheephaven, College Farm Road, Letterkenny, and formerly Fulcara, reposing at his late residence from 12 noon until 9 p.m. today and tomorrow, with rosary each night at 9 p.m. Funeral from there on Saturday, going to St Eunan's Cathedral for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, which can be viewed online by using www.churchservices.tv. Interment afterwards in Cornwall Cemetery. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Tony Harkin, Ballinlaw, Dumfries. Tony's remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral cortege leaving from there at 10:15 a.m. on Saturday morning, travelling to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass with burial in the adjoining cemetery. House private from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and on the morning of the funeral, please. Family flowers only, please. The death has taken place of Paddy O'Donnell, Drumnaskey, Ballymaloil, Letterkenny. Remains will repose at his home from 11 a.m. today. Requiem Mass tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. in St Mary's Church, Ramelton, with burial afterwards in Tully Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only. Donations if desired to Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Frances Russell, Doon Glebe, New Mills. Remains are reposing at her home. Removal from there at 6:30 p.m. this evening to arrive at Cornwall Parish Church for 7 p.m. to repose overnight. Funeral service tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. with burial afterwards in Gortley Cemetery. House is strictly private, please, at the request of the deceased. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Con McDade, funeral director. The death has taken place of Rose Ashpool, née Kennedy, 53 Holly Hill Road, Strabane, and formerly of 36 Patrick Street, Strabane. Remains are reposing at her home from 12 noon today. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 9:20 a.m. for Requiem Mass in the Sacred Heart Church, Derry Road, Strabane at 10 a.m. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to the British Heart Foundation, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Leader of Sinn Féin, Mary Lou MacDonald.
Mary Lou MacDonald.
Who is Mary Lou MacDonald? Mary Lou! She's the name on everyone's lips. But how much do we really know about Mary Lou MacDonald? The Sunday Independent is giving readers an exclusive look into Shane Ross's new biography of the Sinn Féin leader. Read the exclusive extracts in the Sunday Independent on October 2nd and on independent.ie. Up close and independent.
All right, let's get to some of your comments coming in so far this morning. Hi, Greg. One of the most galling features of the budget was a minister who was, after receiving an increase of €6,000, tutting about increasing social welfare another 15 or 20 euro. Well, you see, that's the problem. It's the lack of understanding, maybe, of what life is like out here. My daughter is a law student in Maynooth. She rents a room in a house. The room has a double bed. The landlord has just rented out one side of the bed to another girl for €25 per night. No consultation with my daughter. We can do nothing except to give it up. Her education, to give up her education. It's an absolute disgrace the way our young people are being exploited. All these things are the direct result of political decisions. So this person, who's a listener, their daughter rents a room in a house in Dublin. It's got a double bed. The landlord has just rented out half of her bed to another person. So just to clarify, so we're absolutely clear here, listener, if you're still listening and get back to me, are you saying that the landlord is effectively saying that if she wants to retain this accommodation, that she has to share a bed with a stranger, if it happens to be a stranger? Because that is, well, it's dangerous to begin with. It's remarkable. Is that the way it is? It is the way it is, sorry. This listener's said the way it is. I'm not questioning that, but is that where we're at now is really where I'm getting at. So, of course, you would have to give it up. But is that like sort of not like constructive eviction, really? It feels like that to me. I mean, is the rental tenancy board not got a say in this? Is there no protection for people? This has also been come out of the blue after the term has started as well. Any other stories like that? That is actually despicable. I'm going to talk about that one on different platforms as well a little later on. How would it be if our students worked in their own country for a few years before taking off with their new qualifications, partially funded by the taxpayer? I think that it's a scandal what is happening with accommodation in this country of ours. Shame on our government policymakers and our greedy landlords. Well, we've put that to those affected. We've heard that view before. As it relates to nurses, and we had a really interesting interview with a student nurse on this show previously. And they said they would have been very much of the view that when they wanted to stay here after the qualifications, but now they feel that they have to leave because the conditions to work in this country are so poor at the moment, and the pay compared to other places is so poor that they will look for other options, and that they, for the most part, actually fund their education themselves. So they don't feel there would be necessarily the payback required. It's not like they've sailed through college or university for free off the back of the state, that they pay most of the fees themselves. So, I mean, I would have been maybe more open to that view in the past, but now when you speak to people and how much it costs them and what they're being asked to do when they, unpaid, like they're, for instance, here's part of maybe they're already paying it back as part of their education. Say, for instance, with nurses, they have to work effectively for free, doing the work for which they're qualified for at the moment. They work for free effectively. It's not for free, but they don't get any assistance with transport or anything like that there. Is that not already paying back to the state? So my view has changed a little bit on that. I was never hard and fast in my view on that, because I'm always learning. I feel I'm always learning, but I'm starting to think, well, why should they have to work here? A caller says, Leo Varadkar said he couldn't understand why someone wasn't held responsible for building homes with too much mica and less cement. He seems to be always talking after the fact. Right, okay. Greg, the levy makes perfect sense. The mica scheme is to be paid for somehow. It doesn't just appear from nowhere. How do you or others think it should be raised? Well, borrowing, for example. That's how we fix other problems. We can borrow it, pay for it through general taxation, spread the load a little bit so that it's not just focused on first-time buyers, those looking to repair their homes, infrastructural development. Spread it out. The amount of money that's being chucked around the place at the moment on an annual basis through general taxation, I'm sure we could absorb this scandal. That's one way. But the opposition parties too, Sinn Féin and others, do favour a levy, so maybe I'm an outlier in that regard. What's the correct information about Queen's Head sterling notes after Friday? Is it all notes that are out of commission after Friday, or only the paper ones? None of them are out of commission. It's a transition. I'll read the note here, but presumably sterling notes, actually I'll read the facts rather than me speculating. Sterling notes are changing tomorrow. However, it is a transition from for paper notes to polymer notes. Paper notes cannot be accepted for payment from the 30th of September onwards. However, they can be exchanged in a bank. These notes will still have Queen Elizabeth II on them, as they were designed and printed before her death. Notes with King Charles will come into circulation around mid-2024. So they're trying to get rid of paper notes and to keep the plastic ones. That's what the change is. I did notice some businesses were refusing the paper notes recently, so that doesn't surprise me. But listen, notes naturally, the new notes with her head on them will naturally go out of circulation, and they'll be replaced by the ones with another. Imagine picking a person who's a billionaire and then sticking his head on your money. It's crazy to me, but anyway. Now that school books are going to be free and the taxpayer will bear the cost, watch this space as school books prices soar in the near future. You wouldn't be surprised, would you? Hi, Greg. I'm in Letterkenny Hospital and have to thank everyone I've met: nurses, doctors, cleaners, porters and ambulance drivers. It is amazing how hard they work and can still manage to be so kind to us. Okay, happy to pass that on. Greg, now's the time to take back Letterkenny Car Park and let the hospital take over the car park and use the funds for the hospital. It's crazy the way it is now, and the hospital's struggling to survive. Well, the hospital is very well funded, by the way. It's not struggling. That hospital is not short in cash. And the hospital has been given plenty of funds to recruit. The problem is recruitment and retention. There's no shortage of money being pumped into Letterkenny University Hospital. You could always have more, but that's not the issue. It's not on its knees. Right, okay. We are going to take a break. We're going to listen to the bingo numbers. Good luck, by the way, if you're playing today. It's jackpot day. We have a special interesting bingo promo which we're going to be telling you about tomorrow. So if you're a regular bingo fan, or maybe it's something that you want to take up into the future, you'll want to tune in tomorrow for a myriad of reasons, but to hear about this promotion we have going. But here's the numbers for today. Good luck. Hopefully you're marking them off and you win.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 29th of September. Jackpot day. You're playing for the jackpot prize of €10,800 on the pink sheet. The reference number is S14. It's game number 39. The jackpot number is 38. This number can come out in any position from the next 10 numbers drawn. And now, here are your daily numbers. 16. 37. 1. 77. 89. 79, 32, 84, 20, and finally 27. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Corner Car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunансgadraw.com or any club member.
If you have magic moments or great memories sitting on your phone or in the cloud, have them printed at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. Get larger 7x5 prints for the same price as 6x4s. 35mm and film from disposable cameras, also printed and digitalised. Use the in-store kiosks, download the McGee's Photo Prints app or visit mcgees.ie for photos printed instantly, within an hour, or in by 10 and ready by 5. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Are you frequently asking others to speak slowly, clearly and loudly? Is listening to the TV or radio becoming harder? If your hearing is affecting your everyday life, Connect Hearing are here to help. Our clinics in Letterkenny and Dunloe are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing test, wax removal and repair services. Take that first step to better hearing. Call us today on 07491 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
At Ulster Bank, we are closing. And from the 8th of October, all customers whose accounts have passed the 6-month closure notice period will no longer be able to use their accounts. For our customers receiving social welfare payments, like pensions, child benefit, carers or disability allowances, make sure your payments remain uninterrupted by switching your account now. Switch online in any branch or call our customer service team on 0818 210 260. Call costs may vary and calls from mobiles may not be free. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
For a real taste of Donegal, try some new season potatoes from John Edwards & Sons Ramelton. Donegal's finest potatoes, grown and packed in Ramelton by John Edwards & Sons. To celebrate National Potato Day, watch out for packs at special prices in shops throughout Donegal this week.
Mixed budget for farming. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out how the budget will affect your farm income. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
New €90 per cow suckler scheme, new supports for slurry tanks and rollover of fodder and tillage schemes. But shock new concrete levy, 20,000 farmers locked out of new environmental scheme, and tax rebate reduction to cost farmers almost €50 million.
Don't miss our expert budget analysis, only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
The Donegal Suffolk Sheep Breeders Show and Sale will take place this Friday, 30th of September at Reformart. The show is at 6 with a sale at 7:30. Ram lambs, shearling rams and select females available with online bidding via the Mart Bid app.
Okay, we welcome onto the programme now Fianna Fáil Senator Robbie Gallagher. Good morning, Robbie. Thanks for taking the time out this morning.
Good morning, Greg, and thank me for having me on.
Yep, no problem. Now, you've secured a commitment to expand the student leap card discount for all over 16s attending third-level institutions. So, this seems like a significant advancement here. So, what does this mean?
Well, earlier in the year, Greg, the government, as a cost of living measure, introduced a scheme whereby those attending college, those between the ages of 19 to 23, would be able to get a 50% reduction on the fare travelling to colleges. And we know quite a lot from Donegal will travel to Galway and Dublin. And it was a good enough scheme. I had a couple of issues with it. One of the issues I had was in relation to the age, because as you'd be well aware, and as your listeners would know, many students would set their leaving cert at 17 and 18 years of age and would be planning on going to college or doing a traineeship or whatever, or apprenticeship. And unfortunately, the way the scheme was constructed initially, they were locked out of the scheme. And I was up in Donegal the weekend, and I met a lot of people who mentioned this to me, and I was aware of it prior to this as well. So I raised it with the minister some time back, and then I asked him to come into the chamber on Tuesday last of this week. And I mentioned to him that it would be important that this scheme would be extended to 16, 17 and 18-year-olds so that they too could avail of it. Because travelling on a bus from Donegal to Galway or Donegal to Limerick or Dublin is very expensive, Greg, as you know. Yeah. And I was delighted that the minister came forward and said that they had decided in the department that they were now going to extend the scheme to include that cohort from 16, 17 and 18 upwards, who are going to third level college. So it's a welcome development. It's good news.
Right. I mean, even this week alone, Senator, we were talking to students travelling from Inishowen in North Donegal to Letterkenny on a scheduled service, not specific for attending the ATU in Letterkenny, and they were facing, huge costs. There's other issues with the service, which we'll not get into right now, but one of them was cost. So you saying going forward that all students, if they travel by bus, be it public, private or whatever, will be able to avail of the student leap card discount going forward?
Yes, that's my understanding, Greg. Initially, it was taken in for public service, which would be mainly in Dublin and the big cities. Unfortunately, in places like Donegal, that's not much benefit. But now I would like to compliment the service, first of all, being provided by many private operators, and only for them in Donegal, a lot of people will be left in the house, so to speak. So a lot of operators, private operators, thankfully, in Donegal and elsewhere, have now signed up for this. So that I was speaking to one family at the weekend who had one child who was 19 who was able to avail of it, that was going to college in Galway. And they had another child just turned 18. And unfortunately, they were locked out of that service. So one child, the eldest one, was getting a 50% reduction on the fare, whereas the younger one, 18 years of age, was not. But thankfully,
so the change really then is the extension of the age to drop it from 16 to 23. That's the significant commitment you've received.
Absolutely, yes. Yes.
Okay, right, because we'll have to investigate this further then, because presumably private operators then have to sign up to this so that they can receive the subvention from government to offset, the losses. So it's really down to whether or not private operators subscribe to this, whether or not they pass on these savings to students then. Is that correct?
That's correct. I understand there's about 30 private operators throughout the length and breadth of the country that have signed up, and a number of them, well-known ones in Donegal, have signed up as well, Greg. So that's positive, and I thank them for it. And I suppose the concern they would have is that the department would make sure that the private operators get their money fairly swiftly, so that they're not carrying the cost of this. So that's important, and the Minister did say that he would ensure that that would happen. That was welcome news, but there's another issue as well, Greg, that your listeners will be well aware of, is that traditionally, particularly in the border counties, but not exclusively so, quite a number of people from the south would go to college in the north, that be in Belfast or Derry or whatever. And unfortunately, the scheme, as it's presently constructed and designed, locks those individuals out as well. Now, I mentioned this to the Minister as well in the Chamber on Tuesday, and he did say, and he gave me a commitment, that he will go back to the NTA with the view to having a conversation with them about trying to extend it to include that cohort of people as well. So we'll have to see what happens there, hopefully in the coming weeks.
Yeah, also it would be nice to see this discount for students, the student fees. Obviously, many students with their families living, working and paying their taxes in Donegal to Dublin, their students aren't going to be able to avail of this reduction in student fees if they're based in Derry or Belfast. Maybe you might also raise that issue whilst you're on the conversation.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about that, and rest assured, Greg, I will do that, yes.
Okay, well, that bell means something. I don't know if it means it's dinner time. Are you not too cold down there, Senator? The papers are worried today about you being too cold and the heat not going on. Is it all right?
Well, Greg, coming from Donegal, we're a hardy lot, and we'll be able to stick the no heat up here for a little bit.
All right,
sure.
Stick a jumper on, not the heating. All right, take care of yourself. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Greg. Take care.
Okay, that was, thank you very much, Robbie. That was Senator Robbie Gallagher there. Does this apply to you? Have you seen this saving? 08660 25,000, 08660 25,000, or call 074 91 25,000, 074 91 25,000. I'm reading the right numbers, aren't I? Yeah, I do that off the top of my head. Right, okay. A caller says, I'm in the squeezed middle, and for the first time ever, most of the budget was positive. However, the government announced things in the budget just to get positive headlines, but with no substance. Example, free GP access when it's getting difficult to get an appointment or getting on the patient's list. IVF treatment assistance sounds good, but no small print available to outline what hoops couples will need to jump through. And to be honest with you, I instantly flagged, not trying to be negative, but I instantly flagged the issue with great having hundreds of thousands of more people able to get free GP care, but can you get an appointment? That's also can be a problem.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Corner Car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunansgadraw.com or any club member.
Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
From golfing getaways to gourmet homestays, we all have different ideas on what we'd love to do when we retire. But one thing we can all agree on is that we'd love to pay less tax. At Bank of Ireland, we're all about your financial well-being. A pension is a great way to make your retirement lifestyle achievable while also reducing your tax bill. Now's the time to fund your future. Book a phone or virtual meeting today at bankofireland.com/pensions. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Revenue limits, terms and conditions apply. Bank of Ireland is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc, trading as Bank of Ireland Life for life assurance and pensions business. Members of Bank of Ireland Group. Bank of Ireland trading as Bank of Ireland Insurance and Investments is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
SafeTech are running a number of accredited programs this autumn, including basic scaffolding, electro and butt fusion welding, roadworks, plant and machinery, confined spaces, water hygiene for utilities, UK construction cards and more. Funding available on all these programs. T's and C's apply. For all your safety and training needs, visit safetech.ie.
Ready for flu season? It could be really busy, so it's best to be prepared. Help protect yourself and the people around you by booking your winter flu vaccination appointment as soon as possible. Book in with our trusted, experienced team at 88 Boots pharmacies nationwide. Book in store or online at boots.ie/flu and give yourself the best protection against flu. Boots, with you for life. Eligibility criteria apply. Charges may apply, subject to availability.
This week at Home Store and More, you'll find every scary thing you need to turn your home into a haunted house. Because all our Halloween is all half price. Like our spooky range of Halloween characters, including ghouls, ghosts, and wacky witches. You can choose from our super scary selection of devilish decorations. Or create an eerie atmosphere with our Halloween lights and more. But hurry, because when our half-price Halloween is gone, it's gone. Home Store and More, a happy haunted Halloween home.
Celebrating the 25th anniversary of the first Joe Dolan Bundoran Music Festival, a spectacular Christmas party night at the Allingham Arms Hotel on Friday, December the 16th, with the sensational Joe Dolan Show, Remembering Joe, featuring 5 vocalists with the Dolan family and the original Joe Dolan Band, cabaret, dinner and accommodation if required. Now booking at the Allingham Arms or online at showtours.ie. Revive the 90s in Bundoran on December the 16th at the Allingham.
Okie doke, let's get to some more of your comments here as we progress throughout this morning. I was in court this week and watched 90 houses repossessed. I went there as an experience as I've stopped paying the mortgage on my second house as I'd only bought it as an investment, but it has mica. Is there anyone who talks to the banks about our plight? I cannot afford even with supports to rebuild this house, so we had to make a decision to let it go. Can you imagine how heartbreaking that must have been? I'm one of those people who got the COVID bonus, which was announced in January 19th. Still hasn't been paid. Good luck to those in the budget waiting on payments. Yeah, indeed. I don't know what the hold-up is there. They've hired a third-party company to try and sort that out, but still some haven't been paid. All right, let's go to now one of Ireland's hottest new music acts. It's Bradley Marshall. Bradley, good morning to you. How are you keeping?
I'm all good, man. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Are you enjoying that title, one of Ireland's hottest new acts? How's that feel?
That sounds nice. I'll have that, yeah.
Come here, tell us about your background in music, Bradley, because, you know, it's sort of like the new wave of doing things. It's happened organically, hasn't it? You've built up a sort of a fan base, as I say, organically, really. Talk to me about your journey so far.
Yeah, man. So, you know, it all kind of started as a kid, you know, just a kid who loves music and stuff like that, writing songs. And, you know, I kind of at the start of school times, how I really started was, you know, I got into things in school, music and sang that way and stuff. But I always liked writing songs. So what I did was I just started posting on social media, which I think is just so important for any new artist nowadays to do. And yeah, just from there, man, I just kept singing and doing covers and putting on my originals, and social media just does it itself, man. It just grows and grows and grows. So yeah, man, just grateful for all that kind
And
of stuff.
now that you have that tool, you know, you can do it yourself. You know what I mean? You're not relying in the past, you know, sending demos here, there, and everywhere. You can bring your established audience to a record company, or not even now. A lot of people producing their own music. It's very doable, isn't it?
100%, man, 100%, and that's one of the great things when you actually get yourself out there and stuff. All these opportunities just start to arise. So, yeah. It's
When did you sort of, how soon into it did you kind of, or could you pick a moment, Bradley, when you thought that, you know, something's happening here? You know, I'm connecting with people here. Something might come from this.
It was kind of like a lot of people would comment on my videos and say like, "Oh, your voice hits me in different ways, and you know, helps me through this." And when people were saying to me like, you know, people with anxiety and stuff like that were saying like, "Your voice helped me through this," I was thinking, it's so crazy how like one voice can do that much for somebody. So that's when I kind of realized, when a lot of people were saying that to me, I was like, I mean, if I can help people and do this, then I'm doing something right, and I'm going to keep continuing to do it. And yeah, that's just, I mean, it's such an unreal feeling that your own voice can do so much for some people. And that's when I realized I got to do this and I got to keep doing it.
Brilliant. But with that, then maybe you might sort of feel there's a bit of responsibility comes with that. Did you sort of, did you feel a bit of pressure there, Bradley, that you were touching people on a level maybe you weren't initially expecting?
Yeah, man, it's kind of like, it kind of hits you like, whoa, you know, you don't really expect, you usually expect people to hear it and say, oh, he's good and blah, 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 blah. But people actually, you know, with me anyway, a lot of my people that love my music really get into it. And like, I feel like now I have a responsibility to just help them, put a smile on their faces and help them through their hard times. And that's what I kind of do to my music. I make sure that it's relatable. Obviously, it's personal to me, but I make sure that it's relatable to everyone else too.
Yeah. Now, obviously, then, you know, when you're an artist, you know, you want to speak to your people and they've given you the positive feedback, right? But then there's the peers within music. And you've worked on your first single with the likes of Ryan Mack and Rob Grace in co-writing, but also to have the likes of Jimmy Rainsford of Picture This to come on board. That's sort of like a thumbs up from the professionals too, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, like, that's kind of crazy for me because, you know, like the likes of Jimmy Rainsford and, you know, Ryan Hennessy from Picture This and, you know, Ryan Mack, Rob Grace, these are all really, really good artists, especially the lads from Picture This because they're established in Ireland. You know, they've done things like 5 nights in 3 arenas sold out. So, like, to work with them and for them to believe in me is like, wow, like, this must mean something.
Yeah, Bradley, sadly, I don't know if we can, Irish artists, even the best of them, can rely necessarily on radio play to become big. And that's just a sad situation, right? So what's your pathway, do you think, to sort of, you know, really hit the big time? Because I think a lot of people look at, and maybe not as much now, but maybe look at talent shows and go, well, that's where you can instantly get, you know, a platform immediately. But outside of that, like, I think even for the best of Irish artists, it's a struggle to get established and to grow in Ireland and then make the step maybe over to Britain. And who's to say where else your career might take you?
It is, man. It's kind of sad right now in Ireland the way it is really, really hard for new artists to get onto radio and stuff like that. And it really is hard. And I hope things change and start, like, you know, a bit more support happens in the future and stuff like that. And like things like this are great for new artists like me, you know, because you get out there and you get people to know you and stuff. But for me personally, I really, really thrive and put a lot of work into like TikTok.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because you can put a video up today in Ireland and it can hit Germany, it can hit France, it can hit Poland, you know?
Yeah.
My language there.
Well, you see, no, I don't want to sound like it's all right if you drop it as long as it's a mistake. No, I'm in a mess. Come here. You see, this is the point I don't want to sound like a scratch record for people that listen to this show regularly, Bradley. But you see, radio. Thankfully, we're doing great here, but radio is struggling to survive in certain markets, right? And that is because they're behind it now. They're behind artists like you who are able to get their art out on the likes of TikTok and others and meet a massive audience. They should be trying to sort of ride on your coattails and other famous artists' coattails when that time comes. You know what I'm on about? Rather than go, oh, we need more support. What's happening? Not as many people are listening to radio. That's because they're going on to TikTok or Spotify or wherever because that's where they can hear you. Not on your 2FM or iRadio. I'm not criticising them, and hopefully they are giving you airplay. But you know what I mean? Like, they need to get behind people like you.
100%, man. I think it does really need to change because, you know, we need it, man. We need that support. And I think, like, we need to be better at just supporting our own, you know? Like, we need to make like help people grow in this country and stuff like that. So yeah, it really does need to change, man. But hopefully it does, man. Hopefully it
Yeah,
does.
all right, come here. Listen, Hurts the Most. The single was released on September 15th. How did that feel?
That felt great, man. That really felt great, because there was something with this song that I just knew it would kind of go off in a way, you know. And thankfully it has on the likes of Spotify and stuff. And I just relatable lyrics, man, are the most important thing, I feel, you know. And I think Hurts the Most is about, you know, just feeling not good enough for somebody. And I'm sure everybody, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people have felt not good enough for some people in certain situations, you know. So I just kind of thought that would really relate to people. But I felt so good listening to that song, man. Really
and
good.
people feel maybe that they're not good enough for themselves as well. That's good.
Exactly.
Good lyrics appeal to all people in different situations. I've said it before in this show. Right, we're going to encourage people to go and listen to the studio version of this Hurts the Most, because that's where they'll get the full impact. Or hop onto TikTok and follow you there. But you're going to give us a bit of a live version of this, and we're conscious that it's over Zoom and it's not a fair reflection of your talents. But you're gonna be a good sport and do some of it for us, or all of it. It's up to you.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, I'll do a good bit of it.
Yeah, take it away whenever you're ready.
Thank you, man. I miss your face in the morning. I miss those midnight drives. We'd be talking for hours, saying what was on our minds. We had so much in common, but we had too many fights. I was always the problem, messed it up for real this time. Tell me now if we could work this out. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, please don't do it slow. And don't leave me here bleeding, lying on the floor. And I know that it might break me, but you gotta let me go. 'Cause you're not far from perfect, and I'm not even close. And that's what hurts the most. And that's what hurts the most. It's been a week since we spoke last, and it's starting to hurt. I don't know where your head's at, but I know my heart is yours. Is there somebody better? Gives you more than I could. Oh, I always knew I wasn't good enough. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, please don't do it slow. And don't leave me here bleeding, lying on the floor. And I know that it might break me, but you gotta let me go. 'Cause you're not far from perfect, and I'm not even close. And that's what hurts the most. And that's what hurts the most. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, please don't do it slow. Don't leave me here bleeding, lying on the floor. And I know that it might break me, but you gotta let me go. 'Cause you're not far from perfect, and I'm not even close. And that's what hurts the most. And that's what hurts the most. That's what hurts the most.
Well done, Bradley. That's lovely. It's a lovely sound. Even compromised over Zoom, it still sounds...
Cheers, man. I hope that sounded all right.
No, it did. It sounds really good. And ironically, you could have two people in the one relationship feeling that. It's good to talk it out. Bradley, come here. If you allow yourself to dream, what if you close your eyes at night and think, right, this could be something I want to do or achieve, do you have one recurring thing that you want to see happen for yourself?
Yeah, man, it's not even, I wouldn't even say like record label and stuff like that, because I don't believe that nowadays you need stuff like that. One thing I would say is just for me to like, I always envision myself playing big shows in the UK, kind of London areas, and Three Arena is always my biggest dream in Ireland, because I can just imagine how it feels being on that stage in my hometown and stuff in Dublin. So yeah, Three Arena, man, to sell that out one day would top it off for me. I can retire then. I can just sit back.
Well, you know what? Dreams happen, and why can't they happen to you? Obviously, that's a really powerful ballad. What are you going to do for a follow-up single? Are you going to stick with the ballads and sort of try and hone sort of your audience in that regard, something a bit more up-tempo? Do you know what you're going to do next?
Yeah, man. So I'm going to show people that I can mix it up and I can do a lot of things. So the last single was kind of a bit more upbeat. This one's kind of slower. So obviously now it's coming into November, December time. So I'm going to look at writing a little new Christmas song maybe and see where that goes. And then January, we're just going to do whatever, man. Just keep releasing songs.
Keep enjoying it, because that's the whole thing. You don't work a day. If you enjoy your job, you don't work a day in your life, do you?
That's a fact, man. You have to enjoy the journey.
All right, take care of yourself, Bradley. I wish you nothing but success and good stuff. And I hope you headline the Three Arena.
Thank you, man.
Or you could take up MMA maybe and headline the Three Arena in the Octagon maybe. I don't know, as a backup plan. What do you think?
Why not, man? Why not?
All right, take care of yourself, Bradley. Well done.
Thank you, boss.
All right,
very
good
much.
man. Bye-bye. Take care. All right, that is Bradley Marshall there. Potential to be one for the future, no doubt about it.
The 9 till noon show with St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Corner Car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
Go full Lidl and put a smile on your family's faces with 4 burgers for less than €5. Go deluxe Irish Angus beef burgers just $2.47. Tomato ketchup a sweet 62 cent. Quality mozzarella just 49 cent. Burger buns for 89 cent. And juicy cherry tomatoes only 49 cent. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
Dunlow and Niamh Colombo will face off on Saturday for the Donegal Intermediate Championship title and a place in next year's senior competition. There will be full match commentary here in Highland and online at highlandradio.com from the 2:30 start at O'Donnell Park in Letterkenny. Highlands coverage from the Donegal Intermediate Championship final is in association with the Waterfront Hotel Dunlow. Delighted to be shortlisted in the following categories: Coastal Escape of the Year, Intimate Wedding Venue of the Year, and 4-Star Hotel of the Year in the Irish Hotel Awards.
Mixed budget for farming. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out how the budget will affect your farm income. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
New €90 per cow suckler scheme, new supports for slurry tanks and rollover of fodder and tillage schemes. But shock new concrete levy, 20,000 farmers locked out of new environmental scheme, and tax rebate reduction to cost farmers almost €50 million.
Don't miss our expert budget analysis, only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
The future of public transport is bright, with the Transport for Ireland network growing and improving throughout the country. Increased demand for bus travel has led to many exciting new professional bus driver vacancies across a wide range of bus companies. Driving a bus for a living can offer long-term job stability and contributes towards a greener, more sustainable community. It's time to explore a role in bus driving that moves you and others. Visit transportforireland.ie to find out more.
We wish you a...
It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euros shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save hundreds, possibly thousands on customs charges this Christmas with Space Hub Derry. Call 04871 878077 for more details.
If you're starting a new business in 2022, call into BizPrint today and get sorted. Logo design, invoice books, business cards and all your printing needs. Call BizPrint at Port Road, Letterkenny on 9177955 or visit bizprint.ie.
Teagasc will hold a tillage meeting on Thursday the 29th of September at 8 p.m. in Angrinnan Hotel Burt. Topics include crop research, planning for 2023 and acres. Teagasc speakers include Ewan Mullins, head of Teagasc Crop Research, and Shay Phelan, Teagasc Crop Specialist. And all are welcome.
All right, sorry if I didn't make it clear. A number of you messaged in asking what Bradley Marshall's new track is called. It's called Hurt the Most. Now, an extension of GP visit cards was announced in Budget this week, Budget 2023. And as many of you out there have pointed out, it can be difficult in some instances. It varies from practice to practice to see a GP, and people feel that maybe this might make it even more difficult. But from a GP's perspective, let's go to Dr. Maria May, who's a GP in Mount Charles. How are you getting on, Doctor? Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hello, yep, thank you.
Right, so on the face of it, this seems like a brilliant idea. Better, maybe more affordable access to GPs for more people. But from a GP's perspective, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, and in principle, it is a great idea and a very welcome idea. The idea of having free primary care access for people is a very good one. It does come with problems, and the problem that I suppose I find most with it is, it is a very welcome. There is this problem for people who don't have a medical card, and they also don't have health insurance, but they are also not having a lot of money to pay for expensive tests. And I think that this will help those people be able to come and see us for, it is expensive. We acknowledge that, to see yourselves sometimes if you need repeated visits. So it does open that up for people, and that is good. We can come back to what pressure that might put on surgeries. But I think the main problem is when we have done what we can, or the problems are not what we can deal with, the onward referral, there's huge problems with that. And increasingly we are just seeing that there's nearly no point. I asked people, that's part of the letter I had written to the Times, do you have health insurance? I hate having to ask that question, but it nearly is. It's kind of essential at this point.
Because it's an indictment on the public health system, really, having to ask the question so frequently.
Yeah, and it is just because there's no point in me sitting with somebody ahead of me and saying, yeah, you need to see, for example, an ENT or an orthopaedic, specialist for that. That's great. I'll refer you. See you later. And I know full well that list could be 4 years. That's not good on my. How can I sort of think that that's my job done? It's not, and we need to try and address this.
Also, I presume then you would find yourself being requested to or offering to write letters, but I just wonder what impact they have. Every GP in the country sending letters to consultants, and there's only so many ways you can sort of try and impress on them the importance of a patient being seen, isn't there? Really, I'm not sure how effective they are at all now at this point.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just more letters to read and more things to get back it up. Now, in fairness, a lot of the work we do, and increasingly, I'm sure my colleagues would agree with this, spend a lot of time on the phone trying to impress, to make a follow-up phone call about something you're a wee bit concerned about or that really needs dealing with. And in a lot of cases, there will be a lot of goodwill returned to you from, the tertiary care to try and, pick people out of this waiting list who really need it. So there's a lot of that goes on, but that's very time-consuming when you could be seeing more people. There's a huge amount of time involved in that. And also, people in tertiary care, and for example, the hospital, our colleagues there in Kenny in the emergency department, they're operating under very, very intense conditions. You can have nothing but respect for them, but it's an extremely difficult job to do.
Yes, and when you refer to someone, to use the example of ENT, and we talk of 4-year waiting lists, I mean, is it really a waiting list? Is it not just sort of an abyss to sort of keep people, you know what I'm on about? Is it really, so in 4 years I'm going to be seen? We refer to these as waiting lists, but are they? It's almost like just a black hole that maybe those in greatest need get plucked out of.
Yeah, and that is, and I often would say, listen, my own personally, and I say to people that it's not really a functioning service at that stage, and that's why, as I said, I don't feel my job is done there anymore, and that is where the problem is, and I think having the free kind of more access to us it's good, but it's the problems are much bigger, and I think I would have preferred to see, for example, money spent on other things. Another big thing There are people with musculoskeletal, maybe joint pain, waiting to see, maybe waiting a joint replaced. But if they had better access to physio, we do have some physios, but again, they're under a lot of pressure. The lists are very long, but having some more those type of things that people could do even in the meantime, just investing in the service. There's no point in having loads of people have access to a service, but the service isn't
you also
able to handle them.
Also in your letter, you talked about various referrals. Someone comes into you with breathlessness. Now, we would never discourage anyone, of course, from going to the GP, but only this week we were, last Sunday, I believe it was Lung Health Day, and in the lead up to that, we spoke to some specialists, and they were saying, your breathlessness, don't put it down to something else, go and get it checked.
Surely.
If someone comes to you to do that, right, and you go, right, okay, there's something here beyond what I can do in this building, and you refer them, are you... It's routinely, is it, that they could face a 2-year wait for a stress test?
Yeah, those kind of waits are kind of the norm. Now, we manage around it, and that's obviously the benefit to coming to us, is that our skill set is in determining what's what in terms of this huge amount of symptoms that people have. They present kind of to us, but you can pick out who really needs kind of what. But the problem is the person who needs something done quite soon, but not today, not needing to go over to Letterkenny and clog up the emergency department there. But again, I don't want you to wait with maybe, something that could be a heart attack in a couple of months' time, but we could have avoided that if you were able to access these tests. That's the big problem. Now, what often you end up doing, depending on what you feel the level of risk is that you might have to say to someone, I'm really sorry, but there is no better way for me to do this. And I'm also sorry to my colleagues in the emergency department, but to get the care, you need to go in there. At least we know there's nothing very urgent, and that you might be able to be then put a little bit fast-tracked onto that list. But me just referring them routinely, I'd be as well not to. I would feel that there's not much kind of service available there. And similarly for hips and things, that would be another one. I could see someone sore hip. The X-ray is done. That's the part that works well for us here in this kind of part of the country. Get a quick enough X-ray. Bad pain, bad osteoarthritis needs to be seen. I know that now, but the person needs to wait maybe nearly the best part maybe of 2 years to see an orthopedic colleague.
I would
and
know
they'll say
I know quite a few people who've had hip replacements. None of them have done it publicly. It's either been private or using some of the cross-border initiatives. I don't,
and they're a poor substitute, I think, for they're a substitute, and they obviously have a place, but it can't be at the expense of properly resourcing and working on our own public health system here.
Well, what does it do to the morale then of someone like yourself, Maria, in the business of trying to look after your people? It's a personal thing because you're in the community and it's people of the community, but every day having to relate this, that it becomes sort of almost like a joke, albeit not funny, about having to ask about private insurance. Like, what does it do to someone like, you when you probably feel you can do as much as you can, but you're part of a system that is failing people. So it must take it out of you. It's really what I'm asking.
Yeah. I know, it is, and it can be quite emotionally exhausting to be here, sometimes on certain days, and there is a lot of this type of stuff going on, and you're doing your best to kind of keep people a bit buoyed up, a bit positive about that. We can get a lot of it off our chest in the kitchen, having a cup of tea. My colleague here is also my husband, Owen. We have a fair few heated discussions about all this ourselves. We do what we can. Sometimes then you might get very worked up about it and write a little letter to the Times. You feel a bit helpless, but I suppose increasingly we feel we do need to really take on our role as advocates for our patients as well and be heard, because I do think that particularly as GPs we're well placed. I've worked in a lot of hospitals before, I've become a GP. You get a lot of experience and you know how things work. I've worked in the emergency department in Letterkenny. Short stint, don't know how helpful I was, but I've been there. I see the pressure of it. I know what I'm sending people to, work in the various different specialties there, and I remember thinking, especially there at Letterkenny, our local hospital, a great place full of really brilliant people. the level of pressure too, and just the enormity of the tasks at hand.
Yeah, well, we heard from Dr. Ken Mulpeter recently.
Yeah.
We heard from Dr. Ken Mulpeter recently on this programme, and he says, he didn't paint a very pretty picture, despite all the best efforts, that people end up being treated like numbers because the system is only allowing that. From your perspective and your experience, Maria, what is the solution here? Is it more consultants? Is it more money? Is it more theatre time? Or is it a basket case? Like what if you could do one thing from your experience that you think could maybe loosen this bottleneck? What might it be?
I think for us, for me in my now current position as a GP, it's better access to the likes of even just allied health and imaging for us, because we can do a lot of stuff. We're limited sometimes, and sometimes people take a somewhat dim view of what we can do or not, but a lot of the time we're limited because the type of medicine we practice now, we need tests, we need further investigations. It's not always just good enough to just hear the story and not say it could be this. We need more confirmation. Better access to diagnostics for us, I think, would be a very good and helpful thing. And for routine enough things like, for example, stress tests, get the kind of the groundwork done, then see a specialist. Everything's done. That type of thing.
Maria, in the last minute,
here, I don't have all the answers.
I understand that.
I definitely don't.
That. But in the last minute, Maria, is the picture any better in referring people to mental health services?
That's a very difficult area again, and I think there's no point in me saying much other than I think there's a lot of lacking of services there, and we would find ourselves doing as much as we can to support people ourselves, and but when it goes a bit beyond that, again, waiting times are long, and access to, just for example, counselling and stuff, people might wait weeks, months usually, and it's very thin on the ground, and we hear a lot from others about that. And yes, I can't paint a very pretty picture of that either, I'm afraid.
Okay, Dr. Maria Moy, GP in Mount Charles, thank you very much for your time this morning. I appreciate it greatly.
Thanks for having me. All
Take
right,
care.
no
Bye-bye.
bother.
All right, thank you. And just as it relates to the mental health services and what's happening across this region, across this country too, obviously I would be informed of trends from people in certain areas of the system, so to speak, and there seems to be a particular problem, one which we're going to try and do a particular focus on, of people self-harming, attempted and sadly suicides. So it's definitely, I think it's a growing problem. I've been told it is by people I trust and know, and it's something we're going to try and focus on and try and see if we can do something to raise awareness of it, or to help even perhaps.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
All right, it's just after 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update and say good morning, Emma Ryan.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Businesses across Donegal have begun receiving revised rate valuation packs from Donegal County Council this week, with one councillor saying he believes the vast majority of them will see their rent bill increase. Councillor Michael McClafferty says this is the first new valuation programme for 10 years and coming at a time of increased pressures for businesses. He fears some may be forced to close because of the potential increases. A laptop owned by a man working for a TD has been seized by Gardaí. The man accused of viewing child abuse material hasn't been arrested to date, but the allegation is being investigated. The person in question works for a TD who is not accused of any wrongdoing. Donegal students who had been contributing towards the development of a student centre at Maynooth University have been left outraged after the project was suddenly withdrawn. A €150 student levy was brought in 7 years ago to build a student centre to be home to the Students' Union and a hub for student activities. However, the university has since confirmed in an email to students that the project is not proceeding, citing technical issues and escalating costs. Students have now been left wondering what will happen to their money. The Central Bank has fined Bank of Ireland €100 million for breaches affecting tracker mortgage customers. The fine has been issued in respect of 15,900 tracker mortgage accounts impacted between August 2004 and June 2022. Bank of Ireland has admitted in full to 81 separate regulatory breaches. Works are finally complete on a new water main supply in South Inishowen after outages plagued local residents for years. The final section of the new water main supplying Maharabeg and Inch Island has recently been completed by Irish Water. Issue with the water supply had been ongoing for years and a petition had been set up to urge Irish Water to carry out the essential works. And finally, there were significant failings in how Gardaí handled emergency calls, according to a report to be published today. It was commissioned by the Policing Authority after thousands of calls weren't dealt with properly in 2019 and 2020. Garda Commissioner Drew Harris will discuss the report with the Policing Authority this afternoon. That's all for now. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon, but until then, good morning.
Thank you very much indeed, Emma Ryan. Right, Paul is joining us for the last gardening item of the season. Can you believe it? It is almost over for winter. He'll be back with us in spring, of course, but it's monumental. It's monumentous. Okay, but anyway, if you've got any questions heading into autumn and winter for Paul, our gardener from Ballochdur Garden Centre, get in touch with us right now, 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and texts to that number, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Thank you for all your contacts today, as always. And I will repeat myself, but I apologise for that. Might be an age thing. Hi, Greg. Water off in Rock Hill all morning. Disgraceful. We were not informed, and we have a business. Could not get any answers from anywhere on this. So let's hop on to we'll hop onto Twitter here, and we'll search hashtag Donegal. See if they put anything on the Twitter. I don't know why they just do it. Not very few people in this country actually use Twitter, you know. Let's see what they're reporting. As part of the National Leakage Reduction Programme, mains repairs may cause supply disruptions to Rosnowla, Crossroads and surrounds from 1 to 4 on on the 5th of October and the 6th of October. So that's if you're in the South Donegal area. That's not it. Let me see. Castlefin, there's national leak reduction works going on there. Mains repairs cause supply disruptions to Termon and surrounds from 9 a.m. until midday on the 3rd of October. Okay, no, that's not it. Yes, here we are. This was an hour ago. For those affected by repairs to a burst water main, it may affect supply to Bonamy, Rohan, Conwall, Foxhall, Rockhill Road, Letterkenny and surrounds. Works will now be complete at 4 p.m. this afternoon. Okay, so that's all I can get for you. So it's repairs to a burst water main affecting the supply in that area. It was supposed to be off till 10 p.m. tonight, but they've been able to bring that forward. So to that listener in the Rock Hill area, your water should begin to return from 4 p.m. So hopefully that's an answer for you. The 9 till noon show, delivering answers to your queries. I'm not making light of it, but it's sad that you have to... I'm happy to help, but anyway, the water should start coming back on from 4. Let us take this break.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Corner Car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunans.gadraw.com or any club member.
If you need advice on what's best for coughs or colds, or what's best for sore throats or flu, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. If you need advice on the best vitamins and tonics to put a pep in your step, just ask at your local Brennan's Pharmacy. Whether it's about backaches, headaches or tummy aches, your Brennan's Pharmacy team can help. If you need advice from someone you trust, we're here for you at your local Brennan's Pharmacy, Buncrana, Clonmany and Creeslow.
Don't sleep in and miss the very latest beds and mattress offers from dfibeds.ie, Ireland's leading online bed and mattress retailer. You'll get a comfy Irish-made mattress, upholstered base and headboard from an amazing €229. Check out the full range at dfibeds.ie. Delivery free and guaranteed to you within 7 working days. DFI Beds. Sleep well, live well.
The new TFI Young Adult Leap Card is for 19 to 23-year-olds. offering a 50% discount on Transport for Ireland fares. And now also includes many commercial bus operators too. Students who are in full-time education and are over 23 can also avail of these savings with a TFI Student Leap Card. So save 50% on fares with a young adult or student leap card across the Transport for Ireland network and participating commercial bus operators. See leapcard.ie for details and to order yours today.
Attention all farmers. Inishowen Cooperative Society present a beef and sheep information night at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel on Thursday the 29th of September at 7:30pm. Experts on the night from Inishowen Co-op, Teagasc, Irish Country Meats and Board Bia, followed by refreshments. That's this Thursday, a beef and sheep information evening at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana.
At Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, the wait is over. Production is back. Now your plans can really begin. Whether that's scaling your business or smartening your service offering, with HP Finance from 3.9%, purchase contributions of up to €3,000 and service plans from €12.99 per month, don't wait. Secure your next Caddy Cargo, Transporter 6.1 or Crafter at your local Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie. Be ready to really deliver. Offers for business customers only. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland and subject to lending criteria. Terms and conditions apply.
Call into Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny today or visit connellys.ie to book a test drive.
All right, Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochdur Garden Centre. How are you getting on, Paul? Good to have you in.
Thank you.
Right, we're just sort of talking off air there now. You know, as one seasonal door closes, another opens, and then you're looking to the next one opening. It's on the go all the time, isn't it? Sort of maybe parking summer 2022 now and looking towards winter and spring and summer of 2023. Is that it?
Yeah, pretty much. We've actually just in the last week we've started planting on next year's plants. So we generally work them at 9 months ahead. So the hedging plants now we're actually planting on this week should be ready in May time next year.
Yeah, sort of and presumably that's quite power intensive too, is it?
Yes.
You wouldn't think, you know, when you talk about energy costs and all that type of stuff, garden centres are one's going to feel the pinch in the
pretty much
in the winter too.
Pretty much, you have a lot of stuff running on power. And we make our own polytunnels, so we have steel bent machines in there running 3-phase.
Yeah.
So it is definitely, you can feel it. If you can feel the increases all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose it goes with pretty much everything involved. Just gone up.
Yeah.
So
but and an eye on Christmas as well, presumably.
Yes, absolutely. Funny, the boys were away yesterday picking Christmas trees, so that whole season's coming around again. Just.
And you were telling me off air there are some counties that are big into the growing of Christmas trees, are they?
Very much. The likes of Wicklow and Wexford down there seems to be the main sort of, and almost into Carlow, that sort of area seems to be the major producers of Christmas trees in Ireland.
Yeah. Is it like picking puppies? Like, you know, you go and say, right, we'll have number 5, 6, 2, and 4. Is that
pretty much? What we do is we actually go down there with just tags with us, with our own coloured tags.
Really?
Walk through the forest and tag each one, and then come at the start of December, the guys go through and cut our load.
Yeah, excellent. That's brilliant. And just in relation to that, what's the growth of a Christmas tree? The growth cycle.
Yeah, it depends on the variety of Christmas trees. Like I say, your traditional old lodgepole pine's kind of gone out of fashion.
Is that because it sheds so much, or
a bit? All right, it's just good. It's not got the same sort of colour.
Yeah,
it's sort of a paler green. But
I know the one. Yeah,
you're chatting them 5 to 6 years.
Right. Okay.
Nordman fir, you're chatting 9 to 10, and Noble fir was the sort of blue coloured one almost. You'd be chatting 11 to 12.
Wow. So there's a real business model there, isn't there, in keeping the production lines going? And you need a lot of land.
A lot of land and huge investment on the basis that you plant them and it's going to be like 10 years before you see your money back.
Yeah,
so it's like a lot of money tied up in it.
All right, okay. Come here, if I have patchy grass at this time of year, do I have to wait until next year to get it sorted?
Pretty much until you see the good results. Probably you won't see the good results next year, but you should be working on it.
You can do the work now.
Do the work now, exactly. It's not too late to sow seed. So it's not so. What you would do there in the patchy bit is get a machine like a scarifier or something, go and give it a roughing up, and so.
But don't expect immediate results. This is you're going to start seeing the fruits of your work next spring.
Pretty much, you will get it will green up now for the winter,
right?
But you'll not see real thick grass until the springtime. Spring growth comes on it.
So you'll see something's happening, but
absolutely.
Not
but it's a good idea to get it started now.
Yeah,
there's a lot less work to be done in the spring.
So for those of us who might, you know, I think some people who are lucky enough to have some bit of grass in front of the house or lawn, whatever. Maybe the moss has died off for the summer and it might start creeping back in again over the winter. Is that likely what can happen to people, and what could they be doing maybe to prevent it in advance? It's about drainage, isn't it?
Drainage is a good help, all right. And actually, moss is one of these sort of vicious cycle sort of thing in terms of the more moss you have, the more it tends to congregate on you. So if you had an opportunity now, you could actually scarify it and get some of the moss out of it, and it'll just leave less. It sort of opens it up. It doesn't create that sort of damp, humid
Yeah.
area where
Gives
the
it a
moss
bit
likes
of-
to
a
thrive.
bit of breathing.
Yes,
A bit of
exactly.
air,
It keeps
bit
it
of air
breathing. So it's,
circulation, yeah.
if you do that now, you should have less bother next year.
I've got black spots on my apples, Paul. This year again, I had them last year. What can I do this winter to prevent it from happening?
You get a product called a winter wash. They used to be sort of based in tar oil, but they've actually moved it to more sort of environmentally friendly stuff now. It's more based in vegetable oil. But what happens there is a lot of the actual viruses and bugs and that overwinter on the tree, and this wash actually kills off anything over the winter, so it doesn't come back next year. And it's also a good idea to keep sort of good hygiene practices in force, in the sense that as your leaves fall off your apple trees now, actually rake them up and remove
Right.
them, because a lot of time that sort of puts the disease into the ground, which then comes back up onto the tree.
Ah,
So sort of
right,
good
okay,
hygiene
yeah.
practices is good for
Right.
sort of preventing next year's problems.
Can you leave strawberry plants out through the winter, or do they need to be housed?
No, you can leave them out through the winter, all right. And now's actually a good time, if you have strawberry plants the way they put out runners at the minute, now is a good time to multiply your stock. You can actually just, if you Google it there, it's very easy to layer them and to create more plants from
All
the
right.
parent plant.
Okay. When do you cut back hydrangeas?
Cut back hydrangeas. This is one of these ones creates problems.
Is this like whether to leave the polytunnel door open
Pretty
or
much,
closed?
because that's me and my mother argue with this. All right. Normally, I would say cut them back now whenever the flowers die off on them. They'll
Yeah.
still be flowering, so leave them now.
What would your mother say? I'm not interested in what you think.
My mother says leave the flowers on it, even because they look quite decorative over the winter.
Right.
Like the sort of dead flowers, and she reckons it prevents the frost from getting down into the plant. Whereas I think honestly it's sort of
Your mum's been growing hydrangeas for so much longer than you, Paul. That's the
yes,
problem.
exactly, longer than I've been alive.
Many
so-
winters.
So honeycomb. So I don't know. It's a matter of choice. But if it was me, I'd be cutting them off sort of once they're finished flowering.
All right, so maybe the professional attitude from Paul is not questioning your mother's professionalism, is to cut them back now, but there would be a traditional view out there that leaving them on can offer some protection
Exactly,
for the
leave them
winter.
on tip in March or something.
Yeah, okay, right, interesting. Some people can make up their own minds there. It's good that we get both sides of it. Right, okay, so our spring bulbs going in the ground right about now. If you fancy daffodils, tulips, alliums.
Alliums are hugely in fashion at the minute, so they are. They're actually lovely plants. If you ever watch gardens on TV, they're always very full of alliums. But they are lovely. You get a lot back from them. They're later than the likes of your daffodils that you have longer periods, so they come out in May time or so.
Yeah.
But they are actually they're worth the wait.
And we were talking about in the lawn, you know, you want to rake it up, get rid of that moss and allow it to breathe. But for our beds, you want to be tidying up your beds now and put on a layer of mulch, which is kind of seemingly the opposite of what we'd be doing to our lawn. So what's the benefit and the logic behind that?
I suppose the benefit of the logic there is it's covering the ground, so it's made of organic material for the most part, the bark of that. So it's obviously putting more nutrients down into it, and it's also finding the roots to be a wee bit frost prone. It's actually just creating sort of an insulating layer.
So what is mulch then in terms of grass? Because you will see some lawnmowers that have a mulcher, right?
Yes.
But a regular lawnmower, if it is a regular thing, what is in your bag? Is that mulch?
Pretty much a mulching lawnmower works at a sort of slightly different principle in the sense that it sort of cuts the grass a bit finer.
Yeah.
No way the grass
Chops
just
it.
up into the bag.
Yeah.
It chops it up and sort of distributes it. And if you're using a mulching lawnmower, generally you see people now with the wee robot lawnmowers. They're mulching mowers, but they actually. So you need to be doing it very often.
So you don't collect the mulch then, really?
No, you don't
So-
collect the
okay, I
grass
get
off
you.
it at all. But
So where would you get the mulch then for your beds?
Generally, you can buy it in most sort of garden centres, hardware places. It'll be bark mulch. More people would be using for that there, or you can sort of get composted waste as well.
Is it controversial about when to trim back your roses?
No, roses.
Okay, we've got some
roses
some family agreement on this one. Then.
There are fairly strong rules. Generally, you would trim them back now, sort of whenever they're finished flowering, October, November, but you give them their final trim then about March.
Yeah,
but
right.
Compromises for everybody.
Okay, and we're still in that space whereby I think at this stage your summer flowers can be replaced by your winter ones if that's your will. I mean, you might get the odd hardy one holding on, but
yeah. Now pretty much they're sort of in their last throes of it at this stage, so they are. So now is the time to sort of think about changing over.
yeah, because we're starting to see air frost and stuff being maybe more in the Midlands than here, but we're in that space now, aren't we?
There's supposed to be a storm coming tomorrow, so it'll sort of give them a rough battering, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you. Right, we've talked about removing the leaves, and do it as you go, because it's much more manageable,
Yes.
isn't it?
And especially if you're making leaf mold, actually, which is sort of a compost you can make out of your leaves.
Yeah.
If you generally add to the pile gradually rather than one big lump, they tend to break down a lot quicker.
And whilst you're doing that, feed the lawn too.
Yes, now is a good time for a winter feed.
All right, okay.
So it would be something not too nitrogen based.
Yeah, will you ask Paul, do you have to plant pansies every year or have them in a window box?
Yes, you do. They'd be classed as annuals, so they're only going to do for the one season.
What's a perennial?
A perennial's a plant comes back every year.
Right.
It comes up, it dies back, and then comes back again next
Right.
year. Whereas an annual is just got a 1
Is a
year
daffodil
cycle.
an annual?
No, a daffodil would be a kind of a perennial. So it would be.
Right.
So in the sense that it comes back every year,
get you.
it is a perennial.
Yeah, okay. But in relation to that question, I don't want to confuse the answer. Your pansies won't come back.
Your pansies won't come back. If you have certain types of pansies will actually drop seed, and a different pansy will come up in the same place next year.
Kind of hit and miss with that, though, is it?
That's very hit and miss, and
okay.
it won't be the same pansy.
Right, now, veg patch, if you want to get one going.
Yes.
Now's a good time?
Now's a good time for certain things. Perfect time for putting in garlic, and you get to actually frost hardy onions there. You put in at this time of year, and actually, if you get on sort of into next month, you can put in peas and beans. Will actually do well, and you'll have a good early harvest in spring.
What about spacing? Like, what are you planting when you plant garlic? Is it garlic seeds? Is it?
And generally people would use what's known as sets. It's like the cloves of garlic,
just
like you would cook with. So you put in the.
All right,
little
so I have
cloves.
some of them. I took some of them out of my fridge yesterday, and there was green growing out the end of them. They're ready to go.
Pretty much. The only problem is you used to be able to go down to the shop, buy garlic, and stick it in the ground, and it would grow happily enough. It's not so much happens these days because a lot of the garlic's imported, and it's garlic that would be suited to different climates, coming from Spain or China or something.
But you
like
put it
that.
in a pot and you windowsill. You wouldn't know what would come up.
No, put it in a pot in the windowsill, should be fine.
And in terms of garlic, where is it growing? It's under the ground, is it?
Yeah, starts
Okay.
under the ground, then comes up almost like an onion or a leek. And it's the cloves below the ground, but the actual green parts above.
Brilliant. And they kind of cluster, don't they?
Your clove will turn into the bulb. So it will, and each of them there.
And the little plastic mesh, I presume that comes from the shop. That doesn't naturally grow in the ground.
No.
So, hardy onions. So how do we know the variety of onions, a hardy one versus one that's less...
Generally, the ones available or on offer for sale at the minute would be the hardy ones.
just the
But
nose
if you check the packet, it'll normally actually the varieties of a Japanese name, the hardy ones.
Right, okay. So your garlic and your onions can go in now. Peas and beans, maybe wait till what? Start of November?
Wait another month, almost into October.
Yeah, okay.
Around that.
Right, okay. What can you do about rabbits eating your plants in the garden?
Rabbits eating your plants, probably fencing is one option, is generally the best. And the other thing for keeping away is cayenne pepper works quite well, because rabbits tend to sniff about as they go. So if you put down cayenne pepper, it annoys their nose and they tend to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or another thing is human hair. Is go to the barbers, get a bag of human hair and scatter it about. They don't like that either.
I have hydrangeas cut back very strong a year ago. No blooms, but so high. Do I have to wait until October to cut them down a bit? Thank you.
No would be the answer there, in the sense that if there are no flowers on it, you can trim away at it. But if you've cut it back quite hard last year, I wouldn't cut it back as hard this year, because it shouldn't need it, and just you'd risk cutting off the flowers again for next year.
Is it too late to put fertilizer on a lawn?
No, you get fertilizers geared towards the
slow releasey kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now call into your local garden, and they'll have options for this time of year.
All right. I have a polytunnel and I've successfully grown all types of fruit and veg during spring and summer. This year I feel more confident and I'd love to do all year round growing. What can I grow throughout the winter in my tunnel? So they're doing well. They've grown all sorts of fruits and what have you. So
yeah, pretty much once again, your onions, that sort of thing will do well. Garlic will do well inside your tunnel, and lettuce and scallions will be this time of year.
But fruit-wise,
Fruit-wise, it's hard to get a fruit that sort of traditionally for fruit trees harvest time now, so you're not going to get anything that's going to produce over.
Yeah, okay, right. A deer is coming to my garden and eating my roses. Is there anything that would deter them? More cayenne pepper?
Pretty much no. I don't know if cayenne pepper would work as well with the deers now. Once again, the human hair is supposed to work quite well with deers because they smell humans and they're not wild about it. And the other thing is you get actually a product you can buy in garden centres called grazers.
Yeah.
It's more or less it's like based in essential oils. You scatter it about, and that actually keeps them away as well, I reckon.
Why don't my daffodils flower? I get lots of leaves and new little bulbs on the side, but no flowers.
Two possible problems there. Number one would be that you're not letting them die back enough after the flowered. You actually have to leave the sort of leaves there for about 4 weeks afterwards to let them die back naturally. If you cut them off, it's depriving the plant of the energy to flower again next year.
It's a cycle. We've talked about that before, haven't it? That's its natural food, isn't it? It's
Exactly.
natural process.
A bulb is generally like a wee battery almost that gets charged up by the sun, and then the power's in it for next year. So you may be cutting them off too early. Otherwise, they may have actually become clumped in where they are. They may have divided too much that you may have to, if you actually dig up a wee bit of them now and see if they're all packed too tightly together, you'd have to divide them out and separate them a bit.
All right, not sure if the same answer covers this apple-related question, but I have an apple tree growing for 7 years. This year, the apples are small, spotted, and splitting. Is there treatment for it, or do I need to dig the tree out?
Hopefully you wouldn't have to be that drastic about it now, but generally your winter wash should help a lot. So it should sort of any of them sort of diseases for the spot and all that, it should sort of clear it up a bit. And splitting apples, sometimes it can be actually, what's the word? These periods of drought would do that. It's actually in period of drought the growth stops, and then if it gets a lot of water in one go, it'll actually grow on and bust. So pretty much if you see a period of drought for your apple tree, just throw a wee drop of water on it.
All right, interesting. Can I still plant some peas, sugar, snap peas and runner beans indoors for outside growing, or is it too late in the season?
The actually your peas and that, they actually will be happy enough to actually, if you just plant the seeds outside.
Yeah.
Or, like I say, maybe into next month or so. But rather than start them indoors at this time of year, they can sort of become soft and sort of they're tender wee plants. Then put them out can be a bit of a shock to them. Whereas if you start them outside, they're kind of growing up hardy from the start. So I would start them outside rather than inside.
Ask your man, what's the story on carrots? I sowed carrots twice this year. First lot refused to germinate. Second lot came up and something ate them. I was talking to other growers who have had similar problems.
Your man's the wrong boy to be asking, because I've tried to grow carrots on many an occasion without any
tough,
success.
are they?
The carrots, I find carrots nearly impossible to grow.
Yeah.
They just don't work out for me for some reason. So they don't.
They don't germinate, or do
don't germinate pretty much, or germinate and just sit there at that point.
Wow.
But they reckon, I was reading up on it, and actually they reckon soak the seeds. Most seeds you just put onto the ground. They reckon carrot seeds, soak them for a while. It actually wakes them up a bit before you set them in.
But I mean, obviously, we're used to seeing orange carrots in the shop, but they're refined to look like that because that's what Bugs Bunny used to eat.
Yes.
Are there different brands then of carrots that look different that might be easier?
Pretty much, you get rainbow carrots there, which are actually carrots you sow in and they come out and are just sort of oranges, greens, purples, whites even. They're actually, you can buy them at the wee market on a Saturday down Letterkenny. You can buy them at it there. But apparently they are quite easy to grow.
Yeah.
They're great for kids just because they look weird, they'll eat them more.
Yeah, exactly. We did a piece on the programme there not so long ago about the use of insecticides. The council using an awful lot of it still, seemingly spending hundreds of thousands of euro over the last while. From what I can determine, I don't know where they're spraying it. I don't see any signs warning of it in any way. But it seems the public are, the public are getting far more switched on to the dangers of using some of these products, maybe behind local authorities around the country.
Yes. Just the last few years with the pollinator plants have come out and that sort of thing, people are becoming much more aware of the dangerous pesticides and that sort of thing. So it is a good idea to reduce where possible.
Yeah.
Like in certain sort of agriculture things, it's probably not, like we haven't got to the point where we can completely get rid of them, but definitely reduce as much as possible and sort of be more aware of choices.
Any chance my lavender would recover if I cut it to the base? I forgot to trim it last year, and now I have a lot of woody stems. Help!
Yes, lavender reacts well to being trimmed in the winter time. Generally, it comes up fresh then. So if it's very woody now, I would maybe not cut it to the base completely, but go sort of halfway towards where you want to be. Try it at that, and maybe then be a bit more severe next year. But I would take it in stages rather than cutting it off at the ground.
My lettuce keeps getting ate. I've slug repellent down, but it's not making a difference. Maybe it's not slugs eating it.
Funny lettuce, I would say, would be most likely to be slugs eating it. So it would be. The only good thing is, now at the stage, slugs are getting less active, so there should be less of them about with the colder weather. But there are a few sort of natural ways you can do. If you leave out grapefruit skins, they'll actually go for them rather than your lettuce.
Greg, they ate all my curly kale and radishes and then pulled them completely out. I thought it was cats until a neighbour caught the little robins in the act, doing the same thing to her flowers. That comes in from Mary. So robins are going after curly kale and radishes. What next?
Right, I don't know now. they're getting ready. So they are. Generally, someone like that there, it's not actually the robins. It's not the fruits, the vegetables they're after. It's probably actually the wee insects around them. So it is. So probably the best answer there would be actually if you leave out food for them.
Okay.
They might eat something else.
So your flowers are the plants.
Leave your stuff alone.
Your plants are the plates, not the food.
Pretty much.
Food is on the plates, right? What can I do with old compost? Is it useful for anything?
Old compost, yes. You can spread it in the garden. Actually, if you keep it in a compost pile for a while to make sure other sort of weeds on that side of it, and then just spread it, like we were chatting earlier, putting mulch around your shrubs and stuff. We touch of that.
What do you think about the wildflower seed bombs? I tried to plant a few, but never took off. I since have seen that they can disturb your garden's ecosystem.
There's been a bit of controversy the last wee while around sort of the wildflower seed. Wildflower seed is very fashionable.
Is this the wildflower seed that you gave me?
Yes.
And now you're saying it's controversial.
No, see,
I spread it everywhere, Paul.
Right. So what I got, did it work?
I can't see the dirt anymore.
Right, well, that's a start. So
there's a lot of ferny type stuff in there.
Right,
Is that
a certain amount that would be coming out of it?
Right, okay.
So
Yeah.
the problem with wildflowers as they're emerging, it's very hard to tell what's a weed and what's not, because chances are most of the wildflowers are weeds of sorts.
I don't think this area where I spread this would have had the coverage it has.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Sometimes for wildflowers that's better actually.
Oh no, I'm delighted for me
Aye.
because for as I explained to you, I had to clear some old sallies and all that kind of stuff, and the bank was bare, and this I just wanted not to see it,
Yes.
and throw in the wildflower seeds.
But
like it's quite luxurious. It's very green, very
Yes.
rich green, and a lot
Aye.
of ferns. And
Yeah.
as you say, it's probably hard to tell what's
exactly.
ice
But
sowed.
hopefully, come the springtime now, it'll actually
Yeah.
flower up pretty good and should be perfect. But if the ground's too fertile, stuff like grass beats it, and sort of your more native weeds is going to beat it, like so your ragwort or that, which isn't what you want.
Which is perfect for me because mine was just a stripped back
Yeah,
bit of bank,
exactly.
wasn't it? Okay, and it's going to thrive above the.
Yeah, it should fly on more than them there.
All right, we have a gravel driveway and a low brick wall separating us from our neighbours. We would like to plant bulbs next or near to the wall, but there is very little topsoil available. It's mainly gravel. Is this possible, or could we plant something else? It's a fairly open situation with lots of sun.
Yeah, funny, bulbs actually would do reasonably well in that. What you want to do is dig out as big a hole as practical almost and put it in. But bulbs like good drainage, and that's so the gravel and that would actually be working on their benefit.
Yeah.
And because most of the energy's in the bulb, it's actually does with little enough. So
Yeah, but nature's amazing and terrible all at the same time, because at the back, the rear of my house too, I'd taken a fence down and wanted to put some gravel on it, but I put a plastic tarpaulin down under the gravel.
Yeah.
But sure, look at the weeds will grow anywhere.
Oh,
There's
brilliant.
no soil whatsoever,
Aye.
and the entire gravel is full of weeds.
Yeah.
And there's no soil. Now I know it doesn't reference the caller's question now, but it's remarkable.
I know, absolutely. Like even you see
What are they
dandelions
attached to and growing on?
You see dandelions are growing concrete and everything,
Yeah.
like in cracks in concrete. Now it's amazing where weeds can actually grow.
Like it's growing on top of the plastic,
Yeah.
in between the stones.
Well, at least the plastic makes it easy to remove them.
Well,
and
yeah, well, I'll let Winter do that. Greg, can you ask Paul, what can I do with bugs eating my spinach from underneath the soil in my planter?
A good question. Obviously, spinach is a crop you can't on spinach that I wouldn't be using any sort of chemical sort of treatment because you're actually obviously going to be eating the crop quite soon. Let's see what could you use. Best thing you use probably there would be actually a garlic spray.
Yeah.
It's actually boil up a clove of garlic or a bulb of garlic and actually then use the cooled water to spray on your spinach, and that should actually that should make the spinach not nice for the bugs.
Turns
So
them
hopefully
off,
that
alright.
hopefully that will keep them away.
I had apple tree last year. This year, nothing. Sorry, I had good apples off my tree last year. This year, nothing. I see white fly under the leaves. Are they the same as green fly? Can I do anything?
Yes, they would be cousins of the green fly. All right, definitely. It's been a terrible year for whitefly, especially in beech and stuff. Any purple plant seemed to have got destroyed with whitefly this year. But apples generally haven't performed as well this year as they did last year. Must have been just the weather conditions whenever they flowered.
Okay.
So it would be.
Just time for two more for this year. What causes the garlic to get seeds up the stalk? Sounds painful.
Yes, what do you call it? That's what's known as bolting. Is actually what has probably happened there is actually dry weather, and the garlic thinks it's in trouble or whatever, so its natural cycle is to reproduce, so it throws out the seeds. So the garlic will still be usable, but it won't store that well. So basically, cut off the seeds off the top of it, let it grow on for another 3 weeks, a month, and then dig it. But you have to use it immediately rather than try to store it.
My peonies.
Peonies, yes.
Peonies were poor this year. Leaves had black spots. Do you know why, Paul?
Black spot's only got there. It's just it's a fungal infection, probably similar to the black spot in roses.
Yep.
And you get sort of fungal treatments that would actually help. So you would.
All right, that's it, Paul. Thank you very much for all your help over the course of the year. We'll probably be touching base with you with specific things that might come in over the course of the winter. But when do we is it March, February?
Usually in March, around the end of March, we kick off again.
Seems like a long time, and yet in no time at all, we'll be sitting here going, "Oh well, how was your winter?"
It won't be long coming around.
No, it doesn't be long coming around. We'll have dressed up as skeletons, then we'll have had our Christmas trees up, and you know what I mean.
Or St. Patrick's Day outfits.
Exactly. All right, listen. Thanks, Paul, for all your help over the
thank
years.
you
As
very
I say,
much.
we will be touching base with you, of course, over the winter when different things come in from our listeners. But for now, Paul McLaughlin, gardener at Ballochder Garden Centre, and thanks to the Garden Centre too for letting you wait to chat to us. Have a good day and see you soon. All right, back after these.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes. First prize, a Hyundai Corner Car, plus 9 other great prizes. Tickets now available online at steunansgadraw.com or any club member.
Leader of Sinn Féin, Mary Lou MacDonald.
Mary Lou MacDonald.
Who is Mary Lou MacDonald?
Mary Lou!
Mary Lou! She's the name on everyone's lips. But how much do we really know about Mary Lou MacDonald? The Sunday Independent is giving readers an exclusive look into Shane Ross's new biography of the Sinn Féin leader. Read the exclusive extracts in the Sunday Independent on October 2nd and on independent.ie. Up close and independent.
Your cat probably loves all the typical cat activities. Heading out for a drive, getting their nails done, and walking the red carpet. Keep them living their best life with new Gain Elite cat food. Proudly Irish and formulated for 9 life living. It's got all natural ingredients, recyclable packaging, with pro and prebiotics for digestion and immunity. New Gain Elite cat food. Available at premium pet stores nationwide. Special offers available in participating stores. Terms and conditions apply.
Our wide range of 2023 Skodas are going fast. This is the sound of the Breen family getting their powerful diesel Kodiaq. And this is fully charged Fiona, driving away in her electric Skoda Enyaq. And this is the sound of someone who didn't place their order in time. Order your 2023 Skoda today, before it's too late. Skoda, made for Ireland.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396 or visit dmgmotors.ie.
We know every business is different, from coffee stalls to car dealerships and footwear. But behind every door, hatch and counter, they all have one thing in common: payments. At AIB Merchant Services, we provide payment solutions that work as hard as you do, building systems to fit your business needs, whether that's in-store, online or on the go. Search AIBMS.com for more. AIB Merchant Services, your partner in payments. First Merchant Processing Ireland DAC Trading as AIB Merchant Services is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
While nobody likes thinking about their own funeral, it's still always better to be thinking ahead. That's why An Post Insurance offers easy-to-arrange funeral insurance with no medical required and fixed premiums for Republic of Ireland residents aged between 50 and 75. Call us today on 0818 222222 or visit onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited trading as An Post Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Life insurance policies are underwritten and provided by New Ireland Insurance Company plc. An Post Insurance is a tied agent of New Ireland Insurance Company plc for life insurance business.
Are you completing your UCAS application? CAFRE offers degree courses in food, agriculture, equine and horticulture. Come along to CAFRE's October Open Days. Talk to students, meet staff and explore the practical facilities at Northern Ireland's specialist agri-food and land-based college. Book now to attend an open day at Greenmount Campus, Enniskillen Campus and Loughry Campus. Register online at cafre.se.uk or visit Discover CAFRE on Facebook.
Enjoy a great value breakfast any day until 2 at Kelly's Diner, Letterkenny. Every Saturday at Kelly's, it's Steak Madness with a succulent 8-ounce steak and all the trimmings for just €12. On Fridays, from 3, all deluxe burgers with chips and a soft drink are only $15.95. For endless choice and value, pull into Kelly's Diner at Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
You might think you know Ireland's ancient East, but maybe it's time for a closer look. Uncover stories bold and brave where vibrant city nights follow action-packed days. Set course for countless adventures at Carlingford Adventure Centre or roam wild in wonder in the Glen of Aherlow and become captivated by the culture and craft of Kilkenny's cobbled streets. Ireland's ancient East, yours to explore. Keep discovering at discoverireland.ie.
Fly with Loganair from City of Derry and save up to 15% on over 1 million seats during the Loganair Big Summer Sale with promo code SUN15, including flights to Edinburgh and Liverpool.
Fly with me, I want to take you there, precious moments of this journey.
Book between 21st and 29th September inclusive at loganair.co.uk. Travel from 24th of October, subject to availability.
Mixed budget for farming. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out how the budget will affect your farm income. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
New €90 per cow suckler scheme, new supports for slurry tanks and rollover of fodder and tillage schemes. But shock new concrete levy, 20,000 farmers locked out of new environmental scheme, and tax rebate reduction to cost farmers almost €50 million.
Don't miss our expert budget analysis, only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Callahan's Gala and Go Birch, your one-stop family shop. With over 50 years of experience, we pride ourselves in providing a top-class customer experience. Keen fuel prices, convenience shop, hot deli, hardware.
And Frosty's famous special recipe ice cream.
Family-run, helpful staff and service with a smile.
Sure, it's all go at Callahan's.
Now, a survey has shown that half of our children have experienced bullying online. And of that 50% of our children, it's 53 odd percent, 6 out of 10 of them don't feel they can speak to us. Cliona Purdue is training executive of the online safety program with Bernardo's. And it's for worrying reason. That's an awful lot of children that are really effectively probably sitting in their bedrooms trying to deal with this on their own, Cliona.
Yeah, and so I'm the training executive, as you said, of the online safety program. So we do online safety workshops in schools kind of across the country. We spoke to 23,000 children last year, but that's kind of what we're hearing. So we hear from schools that cyberbullying is a really big issue. It's happening at home, but then it kind of comes into the school classroom, and that's why we're asked to come in to kind of do workshops with them. But then on top of that, to kind of inform our workshops, we did this special kind of focus group with children and young people. So there was 340 people more or less interviewed. And we asked more specific questions about cyberbullying to kind of learn from them, as in like, what's going on? Like, what does it mean to you? Where is it happening? What do you think that can prevent it? We had a survey too, and that's kind of where a lot of the stats came from. So yeah, what was worrying is 60% would say that they would never tell their parents if they were bullied online. And actually what was a bit sad was only 5% would actually tell. Yeah. And the messaging or the reasons behind it that they were kind of telling us was that they're afraid. They're afraid of their parents' reaction. They're afraid their phone will be taken off them. Their device will be taken off them. They're afraid that they're not meant to be on TikTok in the first place.
Yeah, well,
so
let's create a picture then and think of it from a young person's perspective. You know, you're whatever age you are. I don't want to be judged in that regard. But you post TikTok videos and you post them publicly. And I think parents really need to check their young ones' TikToks and see what videos are actually being saved, favorited, because that can be particularly worrying for me as to why they might be.
Can be. Yeah.
But so a young one is on TikTok. They get a lot of positive remarks and they get a bit of shade, right? So someone's saying you're looking very fat or you can't dance or whatever it is. That's going to affect them on a level. Now, they would go, well, if I say this to Dad, he's going to say, get off that bloody app, right? And then they don't have access to that when all their friends do. And they don't then get sort of maybe that affirmation that they're looking for as well either. So I would say that's probably one realistic situation why a young person doesn't want to go to mom or dad or their caregiver and say, oh, someone called me fat or whatever it might be on this app, because what would our instinct thing, get off that thing? It's a toxic, horrible place. So you're not going to say it, are you? So how do we overcome that?
Yeah, well, it's a challenge. But that's kind of why we do our parent workshops, because it's really about having ongoing dialogue with your child. Because if you kind of have regular check-ins with your children about what they're doing online, or kind of scenario-based questions like, what would you do if somebody said something mean to you online, or what would you do if that? So you're kind of having those kind of check-in moments with your children, and that's kind of what we do in our workshops. We kind of give you those kind of conversation starters. The hope is that the child will know what will happen if they do go to the parent. So the parent won't shout at them, won't take away their phone, won't say, not that it's your fault, but just kind of say, oh, like, why was that happening? You must be doing something wrong. There's that kind of fear of that reaction too. Because sometimes, you know, with cyberbullying, children may not be 100% innocent, because it's not always kind of black and white, as in you get a mean message, the child sends a mean message back, but then it gets too far and then they don't know what to say, and then they're afraid of going to their parents because, they wrote something mean back too.
Well, they can't see the de-escalation, so they just don't say it.
They don't want, they're in too deep basically, and they don't know kind of how to stop it themselves, but they're afraid of telling parents because they're afraid of making it worse. They're afraid of the parents shouting at them or taking away their phone, or, you know, as you said, kind of getting off TikTok in the first place. So the main thing we would say to parents is just kind of having those regular check-ins, having a family agreement so that the boundaries are set in place early, so even as young as 5, 6, 7, so that they're aware of what would happen online. You know, if things go wrong, as in, like, the main thing is put your phone down or put your device down, come to me and we'll sort it out together. And the main thing for parents is kind of take that breath and, you know, count to 10 and just kind of, I know underneath you might be going crazy, as in, like, how dare somebody be mean to my child like that, but just that's why they're not coming to you, because they don't
and we
want
have to
that
remember
extreme
too,
reaction.
don't we? Telling a young person, not being dramatic or whatever, but telling them that they can no longer access their favorite app, like TikTok, for example, would be the same as someone coming to the adult and saying you can no longer go to the pub, or you have to sell your car.
You can no longer use your phone, as in parents, you know, find it hard to be without their phone too.
Exactly. But, you know, what I'm trying to get at is it's the impact. You'd be ripping their social life from them. You'd be ripping maybe what they might see as independence from them. So we can't, that reaction is not ever going to work, is it? And then we have to look at ourselves as well, Clean It, and wonder, is our ignorance our bliss? What we don't know, it doesn't matter. If we don't hear everything, everything must be okay. And we probably, you know, push that out into the world as well. And our young people are very intuitive and they probably pick that up.
Yeah, so that's kind of the main point of our workshops is, yes, it's kind of reminding parents that you are in charge, and you are, as in, having a device, you know, is not a right, it's a privilege. So it's up to you as parents to kind of give those devices to your children, but also bearing in mind the internet is not designed for children. So, you know, it's up to you as parents to have an understanding or an awareness, at least, because it is hard to know everything, but just what is it that your child is doing, what kind of games they're on, but also taking a positive interest, because we take a positive approach to online safety. Because as you were saying, Greg, it's not about blocking or banning, because if you have that negative speech, the child is never going to come to you. But if you kind of, you know, are allowing them on Minecraft, say, oh, listen, you know, how does that work? Will you sit down with me? Can I play with you? And, you know, as you're playing, how do you block? How do you report? And what would you do if a stranger tried to talk to you? Those type of things. But you're taking that positive approach, meaning that you're engaged as a parent. They will come to you, hopefully, if there is an issue, but the fear is kind of taken away from it.
Yeah. I mean, we would never allow a young person, or most of us may not allow a young person to go into a massive shopping centre in the middle of a city in some far-flung country and engage with strangers walking from one to the next, dancing in front of another. You know what I mean? But that is what we do. That's what we permit when we allow them on. Because, you know, apps, but whatever about Minecraft and some of the gaming platforms like PlayStation, Xbox, they're actually reasonably quite good in terms of language blocking and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that we don't need
controls.
We don't. Yeah. It doesn't mean that we should ignore that. But it is basically, and I think you've said it, like the likes of TikTok and other apps, they are by design unsafe. They are unsafe because a child using TikTok will have a sexualized comment at them. They will be someone will send a message with ill intentions to them. It's going to happen.
Well, for most social media, that's the way that it works, is then you may get unwanted contact from strangers, but it's the same with Roblox as well, as in, you know, you can talk to strangers online. So a lot of the main messages, it doesn't always matter what the app is, the messages are always the same. So as in, do not give personal information away online, always try and be kind. That's the main thing in our workshops, is the think before you post, because, you know, if you say a mean comment to somebody face to face, obviously that's not great. But if it's online, it stays there forever. And then other people get involved. And that's what I think a lot of primary schools are kind of dealing with, is in like the friendship groups, as in they want to stand up for their friend and they write something mean as well. And then it just kind of escalates. And so our main thing would be kind of to take it offline, to kind of talk face to face, just to make sure that it, you know, it wasn't sent as a joke, like that the intention was, you know, to understand what that was, because sometimes people can get very offended online when maybe that wasn't always the purpose of that. But as you're saying about social media, you know, the age restrictions is 13, so it is, you know, there for a reason. But obviously from our focus groups, we're aware that a lot of people are on.
Yeah, but I don't want to be judgy either, or try and avoid that, because I know what it's like to. All my friends have a phone. All my friends are on this, and and it's on and on and on and on and on, and eventually we might concede. But really, should we be taking the path of more resistance and actually, as much as not allowing young people on the likes of TikTok? Let's not forget TikTok is fundamentally a dancing. It's fundamentally
it can be very fun.
It can be, but also it is an area where a lot of people are pushing their OnlyFans sites.
Oh yeah,
and what have you. A lot of OnlyFans users will use it for that and for other motivations to push their websites. They popularize the dances, and then we can have younger people trying to emulate these people, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, do we have to be strict and say, look, you have to be over 13, as tough as that is?
That's hard to do when, obviously you can just lie about your age. So the main thing what we would say in our workshops is, to try and delay the age in which you get a phone for the first place. So, and if you are, a lot of people get it for security reasons, if they're walking back from school or whatever, just get that brick phone so that, it doesn't allow you to kind of have the smart technologies on it. But the main thing would be just to keep checking with your children, because you can try and avoid for them to be on these social media, but there is a lot of pester power. But just the main thing is, if they are on it, at 12 or whatever it is, that they know how to block, they know how to report, they are private.
What about monitoring though? Because should really a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old boy or girl be doing stuff or conversing on a handheld device that they don't want their parents to know about? Do you know what I mean? Do we have to monitor more heavily? Should an 11-year-old have secrets, if you know what I mean, that they might hide all of a sudden?
No, I wouldn't say. As in our workshops, it is about that family agreement. So obviously it depends on the family, and age obviously is just a number. A 15-year-old may not be mature, and an 11-year-old may be more mature, but at the same time, you are the parent and they are still a child, and the internet is not designed for children. So, the family agreement could depend based on your family, but just, we've heard that there's no devices in bedrooms, no devices after 7:30. Once every week or once every few days, the parent gets to have the phone to have a look, to kind of see what it is that they might be downloading, kind of the messages, making sure that they're okay. But yeah, as in that is an appropriate amount, especially when they're still in primary school, as in it's your job as a parent to make sure that they're safe, but also that you're helping them, because that's the thing, is in sometimes they just don't know what to say back. And you don't always have to give them the words, but just even those scenario-based questions, what would you do? Because what this happens quite a lot is that they're excluded from WhatsApp groups. So they see, somebody like on social media post about a cinema trip that they weren't invited to because they're aware that they're not on that WhatsApp group, and that can be hard to take.
Yeah, exactly. I've probably slightly over-focused on the online safety from a adults exploiting children perspective, or even other children exploiting children. But of course, it is the comments as well, and what the comments mean, and even maybe not ill-intended, the impact it can have on someone, and how we feel that young people can just relate something that probably seems trivial compared to some of the stuff I've been trying to highlight with you, Cliona.
Because that would be the everyday occurrences in your best friends say something and then you take it up the wrong way, and then the next day in school nobody's talking to each other. But it's just talking to them about friendship, and sometimes you're really good friends, and then you kind of fall out with people as well, and that is a normal part of childhood. But just specifically about messaging online, it's the think before you post. Yes. It's the always trying to be kind, because very often it can be kind of passive aggressive remarks or kind of sarcastic remarks that at the start it's just a joke, but then if it's over and over again, it can kind of hurt after a while.
Of course. Cliona, have you any resources at Bernardo's for parents to check out as part of this convo we're having here?
Yes, we do. So we have parent webinars, and they're free, so anybody in Ireland can attend them. So the next one is the 12th of October at 7:30. There's another one on the 25th of October. So if you just go to our website, which is bernardos.ie/OSP, the online safety program, you'll see the next kind of dates up there, and that's kind of just free. So only 45 minutes of your time. It's a webinar, so you don't have to use your camera, but it basically just gives you an awareness of kind of more websites that you can kind of look at, but specifically the conversation starters that you can actually go off and kind of talk to your child about what they might be experiencing.
And there's
online.
some really good ads running at the moment on British TV about what children say and what it can mean in terms of wanting to speak to an adult. I'd love to see similar stuff here. Cliona, thanks for your time this morning. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks.
All right, Cliona Purdue there, training executive of the online safety program with Bernardo's.
Would you like to win a Hyundai Corner Car? Well, that's the first prize in the St. Eunan's GA Club Development Draw, who are sponsors of this week's 9 till noon show. There's 9 other great prizes, and tickets are now available online at steunan'sgadraw.com or any club member.
Mixed budget for farming. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, find out how the budget will affect your farm income. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
New €90 per cow suckler scheme, new supports for slurry tanks and rollover of fodder and tillage schemes. But shock new concrete levy, 20,000 farmers locked out of new environmental scheme, and tax rebate reduction to cost farmers almost €50 million.
Don't miss our expert budget analysis, only inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. Milford Retail Park now open. Large range of wall and floor tiles on display and in stock. Over 70 different laminate floors to suit every pocket. Tilers and wood fitters available. New bathware showroom now open. Milford Tiles, wood flooring and bathware. 083 091 0707.
Introducing the original influencer. On a platform so effective it has over 3.7 million followers. No need to post selfies, avocados or dog videos to get lots of likes, because this device speaks to over 90% of the nation every week. Say hello to a technology that sends DMs straight to the brain. Welcome to radio. Advertising that's always a direct message. Visit radiocentreireland.ie to see what radio can do for your product or brand.
To find out more about advertising on Highland, call 91 25322 or visit highlandradio.com.
Hello everybody, it's me, Tommy Tiernan. I'm playing the Mount Errigal Hotel on Saturday, the 1st of October, with my brand new stand-up comedy show, Tom Foolery. Tickets are £35 from ticketmaster.ie. Don't you dare miss it.
We'll see you down the road. Good luck.
There's a lot to consider when buying a used car. So consider this. The Audi Approved Plus range gives you unrivaled reassurance. A 12-month warranty and roadside assistance, age and mileage verification, all original Audi parts for repairs and replacements. And that's all after our rigorous 110-point check. Audi Approved Plus. Living progress in every detail. Contact your Audi dealer and choose your used car today.
Okay, so Rosina Gallagher from Guidor decided to go over to New York for a little while to work, and that was almost 4 decades ago, 36, 37 years ago. And now Rosina is a committee member and former director of the Donegal Association in New York, and joins us now to talk about a real milestone in terms of celebration. They are celebrating the Donegal Association in New York, 125 years. It's their anniversary on October 5th. Rosina joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing good, and hopefully the line improves. Yes, can you hear me okay, Rosina?
Yeah, it's just breaking a little bit.
Right, okay. Well, bear with me. What we'll do is we'll go audio only, just in case that helps things. Hopefully you can hear me a little bit clearer now, Rosina. Talk to me about these celebrations on October. Okay, talk to me about these celebrations on October 15th.
Well, the Donegal Association, like most of the counties here, have an association made up of, the diaspora from their respective counties. The Ard County is in existence for like 100. Well, actually, we lost a year with the COVID, so it's actually 126. So we're still trying to celebrate our 125th. So 125 years, we're having a dance. We usually have it in March, but it was like everything, it was put back because of the COVID. So we're having it in October this year for the first time, and we're all getting very excited about it.
Yeah, it's an amazing milestone to reach and indeed surpass, if the truth be told. Who are your guests for this event in Queen's Village?
Okay, well, we've gone outside Donegal this year. We've done it a couple of times, but we have Packy Boner, the infamous goalkeeper for Glasgow Celtic in the Republic of Ireland. They're all arriving next week. And then we have one of our locals here. He's the fire department chief battalion for the Bronx 17, Eddie Bowles. His mother is actually from Donegal and his father is from Sligo. And we're very excited for him too. He's very big in the a lot of the organizations here, like philanthropy, fundraising, and he's a close connection with the fire department in Letterkenny. He's been over back a few times with his team, and we're very proud to have him as one of our honorees, along with the Packy.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be possible for many to fly over, but people might be there, and people listening to us, the diaspora. It's going to be a great night, isn't it? Tickets €120, tables of 10 available, a cocktail hour, dinner and dancing, music by rumour has it, black tie optional, which is always good too. Raffles and everything. It's going to be a great night's fun, I think, Rosina, isn't it? And a great celebration of Donegal.
Well, definitely, yeah. And we've had great support from the Donegal County Council. As you know, they travel out here every March to support the association, and it's always wonderful to have them in light of the fact you have people that, you know, don't travel home, to have their support coming out. So they've been very supportive of this dance. And we have the Director of Economic Development, Gary Martin. We have the Caherla coming out to support us, which is absolutely wonderful. And all the prizes that have been secured by local Donegal establishments, again, in support of all our work out here. We have Aer Lingus have secured round-trip flights direct to Donegal. We have Harvey's Point, who've offered 2 nights B&B. Loesk Hotel, 2 nights. Donegal Airport Enterprise Car Rental, 1-week car hire, and then also Invest Donegal a voucher for shopping online for all Donegal products. So it's absolutely wonderful. We're absolutely very, very delighted, you know.
Rosina, have a fantastic night. I'd love to speak to you again when we have more time, but I just wanted to recognise this event taking place and enjoy it.
Lovely.
And lovely to speak to you. Thank you so very much indeed. Okay, chat to you tomorrow. We kick things off with the Friday panel, and we've an awful lot to get through. Have a great Thursday.
The 9 till noon show with St Eunan's GA Club Development Draw. €40,000 in prizes.